Important update about YouTube playlists. Hey everyone. We've received many messages asking why our YouTube playlists aren't showing up. Do we create YouTube playlists? Yes, we absolutely do. So why can't you see them? Honestly, we're not sure. We've been in contact with YouTube support for several months now, but we still haven't received a clear answer or solution. After much discussion, our team has decided to take matters into our own hands. We believe the issue might be related to the number of playlists we've created on a single channel, possibly too many. Our solution? We're launching 2 additional YouTube channels, giving us a total of 3. This way, we can organize our audiobooks better and avoid the playlist visibility issue in the future. This change only affects our YouTube audience. If you're a patron supporter, you can still access all our audiobooks by visiting the collection menu on Patreon. Thanks so much for your time and continued support. Happy listening, Treasurer Takuman. You're not thinking of making me act in those kinds of films, are you? Oh, don't worry, President. Since you can't betray your girlfriend, it wouldn't be appropriate to act in that kind of thing you've got saved on your hard drive. Good, that's. Wait a second, who has that kind of thing on their hard drive? That's why I recommend doing gay porn. What the hell? Shirogane Miyuki jumped up, shouting, why would you even come up with such a deranged idea, Treasurer Takuman? Quick money, of course. What good is that? Making money is business. No shame in that. It's absolutely shameful. Why do I have to be the one to do that kind of thing? I never said you had to do it. Didn't you say this was all to prepare for future student consultations? Ahem. Yeah, that's true. Realizing he'd overreacted, Shirogane Miyuki calmed down, returned to his seat, and looked seriously at Takuman Rinji. Treasurer Takuman, this is something we're discussing for the sake of student consultations. I hope you can offer some constructive advice. After all, students' problems are our problems. The student council shouldn't be encouraging them to do questionable things. That's kind of tough. Takuman Rinji frowned. No normal student would ever consider dating someone like Shinomiya Kaguya. You'd have to be out of your mind to take on something that difficult. Shirogane Miyuki. Maybe they should just study hard and aim to become a high-ranking politician or the president of a major Japanese bank. I actually think that's a solid plan. But considering Japan's political environment, even with strong connections and means, you're not getting that kind of position until you're like 50 or 60. Waiting to get married until then is kind of... Bang. Shirogane's head slammed onto the desk again. He truly felt hopeless about the future. President, are you okay? Do you really have to worry this much about something that might not even happen? I'm just concerned about our fellow students. You wouldn't understand, Treasurer Takuman. Even now, Shirogane clung stubbornly to his pride. That's why this is such a tricky situation. Takuman Rinji slumped back on the couch. Meanwhile, Shirogane's face was still pressed against the desk in silence. If this were your problem, President, I could probably help you. But since it's someone else's problem, then... Wait. Shirogane suddenly sat up, his bloodshot eyes. Due to all-nighters. Fixating on Rinji. What did you just say? I said since it's someone else's problem, then... No, not that part. The one before that. Oh, I said, if this were your problem, I could probably help you. Why? How exactly would you help me? Didn't you say you have no romantic interest in Miss Shinomiya? Hypothetically. Hypothetically. You get that, right? Got it, got it. If this were your problem, there's a lot I could do. Rinji said. You see, President, we're friends, right? Yes, we are. Since a friend's in trouble, of course I'd help. I mean, even if you hadn't succeeded yet, I'd still do what I can. Like gathering some basic info on Miss Shinomiya or tracking where she usually goes. I'd do what I can to assist. Although I suck at romance, so this is probably the best I can offer. Shirogane had to admit. He was a little tempted. If someone really would support him, his chances of getting Kaguya to confess might go up a few notches. About the Shinomiya family. I'll deal with them for you. Would a friend really go this far? Shirogane was touched. To go up against a behemoth like the Shinomiya family for a friend's happiness. That kind of resolve was truly admirable. Of course. Rinji's lips curled into a slight smile. After all, if I go up against the Shinomiya family in the name of helping a friend, it gives me a just cause, doesn't it? Chapter 24, I'm way past the age of calling a stranger mom. By the way, Takuman, you came in through external admission, right? I thought you came from a poor background like me, but now it doesn't seem that way. Shirogane had wanted to ask this for a while. Someone who could offend the Shinomiya family and throw shade at the Shuchin Joint Club Federation. He couldn't possibly be just a farmer's kid. What kind of background do you think I have, President? Like, The son of a big corporate tycoon or something? My old man really is a farmer. I wasn't lying about that. I'm just not that good at lying, to be honest. Rinji shrugged. If I seem well connected, it's just because my dad has a lot of friends. I tend to get by pretty easily because of that. And your daily expenses? Does your family support you? Partly. I still try to earn my own money. That's a good habit. Part-time jobs build life experience. Shirogane nodded approvingly. He himself enjoyed part-time work, partly to support his household. Where do you usually work? Overseas. Overseas? Oh right, you're a foreign exchange student. Must be tough, huh? It is. Making money at our age isn't easy. It's not like when we were kids. Huh? Shirogane looked surprised. You made money as a kid? Yeah. I remember starting around 5 years old. That young? It was pretty early. Rinji looked up, seemingly reminiscing. Back then, my dad had just opened his farm. These really pretty ladies would randomly come visit our house. When they saw me, they'd quietly say, "Call me mom and I'll give you pocket money." I didn't get why, but for the money. I called them that. You gave in that easily. Business is business. No shame in making money. I don't even know what to say. I'm only telling you this because we're friends, President. Don't spread it around. Even my dad doesn't know. I promise I won't say anything. Anyway, it's not like that anymore. I'm way past the age of calling some stranger mom just for cash. Shirogane was truly speechless at the student council treasurer he'd recruited. By the way, President, do you actually want my help or not? Well, maybe don't. I mean, taking on the Shinomiya family just to deal with a student's love problem. It's not worth it. Rinji actually wanted to drag Shirogane into this mess. If Shirogane really did get involved with Kaguya, the Shinomiya family would inevitably step in. And then, as his friend, Rinji would have a justifiable reason to go after them directly. But still. You probably just admire Shinomiya Kaguya. No need to get yourself mixed up in all this just for a student consultation. Well. But the truth was. Shirogane was very tempted. Whether Rinji could really go up against the Shinomiyas was another matter. But the idea of getting help in making Kaguya confess. That was seriously appealing. Alright. For the sake of the students at this school, I'll go all in. Is that really necessary? Of course. Shirogane puffed out his chest, eyes brimming with righteousness. This is all to help our school's students. The excuse was full of holes. No sane person would buy it. But luckily, Rinji wasn't a sane person. As expected of the president. I'll be sending you intel on Kaguya regularly then. Let me know what you need. I'll have people on it. You have people helping you? Oh, I've got an official post here in Japan assigned by HQ. I can use a few idle hands. You really aren't simple. Miss, please get in the car. Standing beside a stretched limousine, Hayasaka opened the rear door for Kaguya. As she got in, I followed and shut the door. Leaning back on the sofa-style seat, Kaguya let out a long sigh. Ugh, I ran into that demon. Are you talking about Takeman Rinji, miss? Exactly. I didn't expect even he would show up at Shuchin. A hint of worry crossed Kaguya's face. As if remembering a bloody night from the past. Even though he said he's just here to study. His real purpose is still unclear. Are you worried he might harm you? Hayasaka asked gently from beside her. So far, he doesn't seem to have any intention of doing that. But. Kaguya's body trembled slightly. Her fists clenched. He actually told the president not to confess to me. That devil. Is that even something a human being would do? Hayasaka, This is definitely his way of getting revenge on me. That guy. But miss, I thought you didn't have those kinds of feelings for the president? Of course I don't. Kaguya turned her head away proudly. Well, I suppose if the student council president were to lower himself and confess to me, I might consider it. You're such a pain. Hayasaka replied with her usual expressionless face. This was typical of Hayasaka. Whether talking to Kaguya or pretending to be a flashy gal at school, she rarely let her real emotions show on the surface. Wasn't it because you rejected him back then? Kaguya quickly turned the conversation around. How is that my fault? Am I not allowed to turn a guy down? If you really didn't like him, of course you could. But I remember you crying for days after that. You were a mess. And you've been looking into him for years. Do you really not like him? It's not that, my lady. Hayasaka said. I do like him. I like him very much. Then why? Because I know who I am. If I had accepted him back then, the Shinomiya family would have done something to him. Even if it was just childish nonsense at the time, the Shinomiya family eliminates anything that might be a threat. You're right. Kaguya sighed and shook her head. She knew better than anyone what kind of family the Shinomias were. So it was because of me? It's not your fault, my lady. Then why do you like him? He's just a good-looking guy with a ton of weird behavior. Because he's different from us. He never hides behind a mask or pretends to be someone else. Chapter 25, Confessing Doesn't Work. Trust me. Do you know anything about Renji Takuman's true identity? Kaguya asked Hayasaka. No clues so far. Hayasaka replied, shaking her head. We only know that he has very close ties with you. Public records say he was a second lieutenant in a Middle East combat unit, currently assigned to Japan's Scientific Research Division. But that feels like the version they want us to see. His real identity remains a mystery. He wouldn't have targeted the Shinomiya group 4 years ago just because of some soldier. There must be a deeper reason. Kaguya murmured from the car's backseat. Though she wasn't allowed to interfere in family business, there were certain names and organizations even she had been warned never to provoke. One of them was IW, short for Isaac Worldwide. Emerged after the Cold War. Its industries span military, communications, healthcare, transport, finance, construction. It's one of the few groups even the Shinomiya family doesn't dare challenge. Its predecessor was a military contractor that thrived during times of conflict. Some say they started with leftover Soviet weapons, but that's just a rumor. Hayasaka added. In the early 2000s, they were involved in many major international incidents. So basically, a war profiteer. Kaguya frowned. But this is one of the few organizations that even my father fears. Understandably so. They've always been ruthless. Many in their combat division have faced military tribunals and openly violated the Geneva Conventions. But now, no one dares say a word. What's Renji Takuman's relationship with them? Why would they act on his behalf? Still unknown. I looked into their public-facing CEOs. Hayasaka explained. The first was George Sikik, a former member of the U.S. 75th Ranger Regiment, retired 10 years ago. The current one is Seiguro Sosuke, a Japanese national. Neither has any ties to Renji Takuman. So just figureheads. Meaning there's someone behind the scenes? Yes. Supposedly, only those who experienced the 1999 incident know the true founder. He's the one pulling all the strings. A nightmare figure for that generation. But there's no trace of him anywhere. This is getting more and more complicated. But you don't need to worry, my lady. We're just students. Even if Renji has some deep background, he probably wouldn't do anything to you at school. He did say he wouldn't bother me, but? He's definitely the one sabotaging my plans. Kaguya covered her face. He's always saying bad things about me to the president and constantly interfering with my chances to get him to confess. Didn't you say earlier you didn't care? Anyway. I need to stay on guard. He's absolutely trying to ruin things between me and the president. President, if we're going to work together, let's at least exchange contact info. Oh right, you guys don't use WeChat here. Let's add each other online. Renji Takuman pulled out his phone. Since Shirogane had decided to get involved, Renji figured he might as well support his plans. About that. What, are you shy or something? No. It's just. I don't have a phone. You know how expensive smartphones are. Even the cheapest one would take weeks of part-time pay, and I use that money to support my family. So, by the time it gets to me. Okay, I get it. Yao rummaged through his bag and pulled out a thick smartphone, placing it in front of Shirogane. This is a phone. Borrow it for a while. I'll contact you through this one. Thanks. Shirogane pressed the power button but saw only a scanning screen. Nothing else. Is it broken? Oh, it just hasn't been registered yet. Renji took the phone back, tapped around for a moment, then pointed the screen at Shirogane's face. User confirmed, this is a device made by my organization, for use in C4 Isra tactical command systems. I usually carry two, just in case. Wow. That sounds complicated. Shirogane didn't really get it, but it sounded cool. So, tell me what kind of help you need. Gathering intel is no big deal, but your main goal is to get closer to the Shinomiya girl, right? Yeah. Remember what I told you. Don't ever confess. Got it. Wait for her to confess to me. If she has any brains at all, she won't confess to you either. Renji said flatly. Eh? Why? Because confessions are useless. Huh? After reflecting on my failed romance, I've realized the core truth of love. Renji said seriously. Confessing is pointless. I didn't get to finish last time because Fujiwara interrupted me, but love is about gradually becoming someone the other person falls for. A confession just tells them you like them. The former is a long-term investment. The latter is going all in. Anyone with a brain wouldn't go all in. Takuman-kun, do you really think confessions don't work? Of course. If just saying I like you makes someone devote themselves to you, that's not a girlfriend. That's a mom. Chapter 26, Today, Rinji Takuman is still shameless, so don't confess, and don't wait for her to confess either. That's all pointless. The best outcome is for things to naturally develop. I see. I don't get why people obsess over who confesses first. It's a trap. Whoever does it first loses. Of course, I wouldn't mind if the Shinomiya girl is the one to lose. Oh. In war terms, confession is an asymmetric gamble. To win, you need information dominance. With the Shinomiya family backing her, an ordinary guy would be crushed. Without my help, you'd never stand a chance. Takuman-kun, have you considered a special case? Shirogane asked timidly. Like what? What if both people like each other already? Isn't it okay for one of them to confess? You like Shinomiya? No. I just admire her, like I told you before. Even now, Shirogane refused to admit it. Feelings are too vague. There's no formula, and every case is different. You can't analyze them precisely. You really do love using a science mindset for romance. Because I suck at liberal arts. Why analyze things with tools I'm bad at? Rinji replied. Back then, I confessed without confirming her feelings, and I paid the price. What's the point of confessing if she doesn't like you? You've got a point. And if both people like each other, why wait for a confession? It's like deciding a winner. Well, it's also about fairness. Huh? The one who likes first ends up at a disadvantage after they become a couple. Or at least that's how I see it. That's dumb. If you're that worried, just sit down and talk about relationship terms like a business meeting. I was willing to lose back then and still. Ugh, every time I talk to you, I end up dragging out my past again. Rinji rubbed his eyes in frustration. Even he was sick of bringing up his own heartbreak just to make a point. I'm a living, breathing cautionary tale, and you still don't believe me? But you believe in some 3-line confession speech? I believe you, I do. I swear I won't confess. You can count on me. Alright. Just stay alert moving forward. I'll help you, but don't even think about confessing. It's pointless. And it makes no logical sense. No problem. I'll follow your lead. Alright then, we'll keep in touch by phone. After saying that, Takuman Rinji picked up his backpack from the couch, planning to leave the student council office first. Anyway, you're planning to pursue Kaguya Shinomiya to better handle students' emotional consultations, right? In that case, the young lady from the Shinomiya family is basically just a test subject. Since she is a tool, we might as well use her properly. Starting tomorrow, I'll gradually provide you with intel. Alright. Even as Takuman Rinji stepped out the office door and gently closed it behind him, Miyuki Shirogane still hadn't said aloud that he was serious about falling in love with Kaguya Shinomiya. That he wanted her to confess to him. Due to the gap in status between them, Shirogane's make the other confess strategy seemed even less reliable than Kaguya's plan. But with Takuman Rinji's help, things might slightly improve. Maybe. The next day, school proceeded as usual. Classes were as normal, but when lunchtime rolled around, the classmates around him all started to deliberately avoid Takuman Rinji. The reason was simple. Yesterday, while carrying out his duties as a disciplinary committee member, Takuman had used some confusing and borderline violent methods, making him rather infamous among the first-year students. Basically, everyone now knew this guy was probably a musclehead who acted before thinking. Takuman didn't pay them any attention. He simply picked up a red bean bun he had brought for lunch and walked straight to the disciplinary committee office. Knock knock knock. Come in. Hearing the voice from inside, Takuman opened the door and stepped in. As usual, he was greeted by the familiar faces of Maiko Ono and Kobachi Asaragi. On Maiko's desk, her bento box was clearly a size larger than that of an average student. Apparently noticing Takuman's gaze, Maiko quickly covered the box and stammered an explanation, flustered. This is because my mom accidentally mixed up my dad's bento box with mine. I usually don't eat this much. Isn't your mother part of an international humanitarian relief organization? She came home yesterday? Sometimes she does come back. I see. Takuman didn't seem to care much about the bento's size and casually sat across from the two girls, tearing open his bread wrapper. Maiko-san, I went to talk to the student council president yesterday. Is that so? What kind of person is President Shirogane? He's someone who really cares about the students. He's willing to make himself an experimental subject just to help others with their concerns. A true president worthy of respect. I admire him a lot. Is that so? I guess there's still quite a gap between us. Maiko lowered her head as she said that. The popularity gap between them at school was obvious. But that said, I don't think we can rely on the president when it comes to solving discipline issues. Huh? Why? I talked with him for a long time yesterday. It seems he even offers love consultations. While I admire his dedication to the students, at this rate the number of couples in Shuchin is only going to increase. That's outrageous. Macho slammed the table and shouted. A student council president actually promoting that sort of behavior. That's why I think if we want to improve discipline, we'll have to do it ourselves as disciplinary committee members. The student council route is likely a dead end. Even though Takuman Renji had agreed to help Miyuki Shirogane pursue Kaguya Shinomiya. Even though he had talked about a lot of romantic stuff with Shirogane. That didn't mean he was going to let all the lovebirds at school off the hook when they were flaunting their relationships in his face. He'd still offer help when needed, but if there were couples to be broken up, he'd do so without hesitation. That day, Takuman Renji was still as shameless as ever. Chapter 27, Methods of Breaking Up Couples. Although Shuchin Academy's rules prohibit impure romantic relationships between students, that kind of regulation was never going to stop hormone-crazed teenagers. During lunch breaks or after school, groups of boys and girls walked side by side. The more reserved ones sat chatting on park benches, while the less restrained ones fed each other or even used each other's laps as pillows. Some even kissed in the corners of school buildings. These blatant breaches of discipline made Maiko furious. Every time she tried to stop them, she got dirty looks. Sometimes even shoved aside and told to mind her own business. Even though she was on the disciplinary committee, Maiko was not very popular. At least among the first years. But that was to be expected. Who would welcome someone who always showed up just to ruin their fun? These incidents happened again and again. Until Takuman Renji joined the disciplinary committee. Excuse me, you two. Huh? A couple. Moments away from kissing. Froze mid-action and looked impatiently at the blonde boy in front of them. And who the hell are you? Takuman Renji. First year. Currently serving as a disciplinary committee member. TCH, a hall monitor? Just hearing that, they knew he was there to interrupt their good time. The girl looked annoyed, and the boy walked up to Takuman with arrogance. Hey freshman, don't you know you're supposed to speak respectfully to your seniors? Senpai and senpai, the school doesn't allow relationships. If you want to do indecent things, wait till after school. No need to be so desperate. You disciplinary people sure are nosy. Thanks for the compliment. That wasn't a compliment. Ugh, just get him out of here already. The girl urged. Hey, freshman, scram. This isn't your business. Seeing how annoyed the boy was, Takuman's expression suddenly shifted. You dumbass. I'm giving you two degenerates a chance, and this is the attitude I get? The sudden change in tone stunned the couple. Break up. Now. Or you're done, got it? You. What the hell is wrong with you? I'm not breaking up. This guy's nuts. Still acting tough? Good. I like that. Takuman nodded and took out his phone, scrolling through some photos before showing them to the girl. Congrats. Yesterday your boyfriend went shopping with a girl from the all-girls school near Shuchin. You know this girl, senpai? In the photos, the guy was walking closely beside a stylish high school girl in a commercial district. What's going on? I can explain. Oh yeah, I also caught them going into a jewelry store. Noriko, I swear I can explain. And a hotel. Wait. And here's the hotel receipt. Smack. With tears in her eyes, the girl slapped her boyfriend hard across the face and then ran off crying. Noriko. The boy dropped to his knees, clutching his cheek and yelling. But it was no use. You brought this on yourself. Takuman stood there with an indifferent expression. You. What are you trying to say? You bastard. The boy lunged up, grabbing Takuman by the collar and raised his fist to punch. Smack. Takuman reacted instantly, slapping the boy hard across the other cheek. The force knocked him out cold. Humphrey. Oppose the disciplinary committee, and you're asking for it. He took out a small notebook and crossed a line through a name. Another couple, eliminated. Takuman-kun, don't you think that was a bit much? Not my problem. If their records were clean, would I even have had a chance to do this? Inside the disciplinary committee office, Kobachi Asaragi looked troubled as she watched Takuman Renji. He'd only been enrolled for less than a week, and he'd already forcibly broken up 7 couples. They were the ones cheating. What could I do? That's true. But where do you get this kind of information? I have my own sources. This kind of thing will really make people hate you. Let them hate me. Ever since I joined the disciplinary committee, I've had zero fear. Kobachi Asaragi couldn't help but adjust her thick glasses. This foreign student had already done multiple baffling things since arriving at Shuchin. With his handsome looks, if he behaved just a little more normally, even the students from the pure departments would be into him. But no, He had to pull off stunts no one could understand. Now everyone treated him like a walking curse. Putting that aside, Takuman-kun, do you know what students are calling the disciplinary committee office these days? What? A detective agency. Kobachi said. Now, anytime a student is dating and starts getting insecure, they come here asking for investigations. But this is not our job, you know. Then just tell them their boyfriend or girlfriend is cheating. That'll definitely cause a trust crisis, and the Shuchin couple dissolution plan can proceed smoothly. What kind of terrifying plan is this? Do you really have no scruples in your methods? Exactly. To achieve your goal, efficiency should always come first. This person is beyond saving. Knock knock knock. Come in. Takuman Rinji called from inside. Kobachi Asaragi sighed when she heard the knock. Probably another one coming to investigate cheating. Just tell them, you guessed right. That's way too irresponsible. Click. The office door opened, and a classmate of theirs walked in. Ishigami? You came here too? Takuman Rinji was surprised to see the boy in front of him. He'd never heard anything about his buddy having a girlfriend. There's something I want to request. Wait a second. Takuman stopped Ishigami from continuing, stood up, and pulled him out of the Public Morals Committee office. Chapter 28, Do you know what I learned in America? Ishigami, why are you turning yourself into the Public Morals Committee? Huh? Takuman had pulled Ishigami into a quiet hallway outside the office. If you have a girlfriend, there's no need to come to the committee office. If you want to investigate whether she's cheating, you can just tell me in private. Coming here will just make us try to stop you. Takuman said earnestly. Isn't stopping campus romance literally your job as a committee member? But you're my bro. If you break the rules, I'll turn a blind eye. Who would know if you don't tell anyone? Is this really something a Public Morals Committee member should say? You know where I used to study, right? Yeah, America. Ishigami replied. Takuman was a Chinese American, and he'd studied in the US. He mentioned this during his self-introduction. Right. So do you know what I learned all those years in America? Open school culture? Wrong. Freedom and democracy? Wrong again. Then what? Double standards. If I'm a committee member, of course I'll use one standard for regular students and a different one for you. If you really had a girlfriend, I wouldn't say a word or try to sabotage it. That's too twisted, Rinji. Your mindset is seriously messed up. This wasn't the first time Ishigami had said that. And yet every time, Takuman managed to sink lower. So tell me, what did you came to the office for this time? Is your girlfriend acting strange? Want us to investigate? Though we're not detectives, that might be a bit out of scope. Haven't you been doing detective work lately anyway? Ishigami sighed deeply, his voice serious. I want you to investigate someone. Who? Ojino. Ojino. Oh, that classmate, right? He's rumored to have a super cute girlfriend. But what's it got to do with you? Takuman was confused. This didn't seem related to Ishigami himself. To be honest. Ojino's girlfriend, Kyoko Otomo. She's someone I care about. Got it. What do you mean got it? You want me to take down Ojino so you can snatch Kyoko Otomo, right? Honestly. You totally don't get it. Ishigami shouted. Relax, I never said I wouldn't help you. Helping is the worst possible thing you could do. He couldn't handle Takuman. He had no clue what was going on in the guy's head. Okay, then what do you want me to do? Phew. I'll explain from the beginning. So basically. So I think I get what you're saying. You overheard Ojino talking on the phone, booking a room and inviting his girlfriend, Kyoko Otomo. And then also inviting other guys to join in. Damn, what is wrong with you Japanese high schoolers? Takuman was genuinely shocked. He really didn't expect them to be this wild, though he'd heard stories from his dad. Aren't you also a Japanese high schooler now? Don't lump me in with them. I'm pure. A model student. So anyway, I came to tell you. I got it. You got it again? Takuman narrowed his eyes and smiled. You want me to eliminate Ojino? Got it, easy. No. Stop thinking like that. Ishigami, you clearly don't understand my capabilities. Don't worry, I'll handle it. You saying that makes me even more worried. After taking a few breaths to calm down, Ishigami's eyes turned serious. Takuman, I hate couples just as much as you. Sometimes I even want to curse them. But Kyoko Otomo always took the initiative to talk to someone gloomy like me. I don't even have feelings for her, and Ojino is president of the drama club, has performed at national events. I genuinely wish them the best. It's just. I don't want someone that kind to get hurt. I'm not asking for anything else. Just. Please stop Ojino from doing things like this. Even though I want him to disappear, if he does, Kyoko would be heartbroken. Please. Seeing Takuman silent, Ishigami bowed deeply. Hey, that's too much. Takuman quickly helped him up. Didn't I say earlier? You're my bro. If you're in trouble, I'll take it for you. Coming to me proves you trust me, and that's good. You'll do it? Of course. Leave the investigation to me. You just go to school, eat properly, and don't overthink things. Takuman patted his back reassuringly. Thanks for indulging my selfish request. Forget thanks. Just treat me to a good meal someday. Takuman laughed. As he watched Ishigami leave, Takuman stroked his chin and started thinking. He had accepted the request, which meant he had to handle it properly. But the cost was too high. The reason he usually went straight to eliminating or removing someone was because it was the cheapest and most efficient. Making someone change for the better could take a massive investment. And the outcome wasn't even guaranteed. Everyone was an individual, with their own thoughts. Trying to reform someone was hard. Sending them to Africa would be easier. Get a few guys to rough them up, buy a plane ticket, done. Sighing, he pulled out his phone and made a call. Hello? Yeah, it's me. Help me look into someone. Kouja no, first year class B at Shuchin. No, don't eliminate him, just get me his file. ASAP. It's fine, I'll handle the rest. After hanging up, Takuman's gaze turned sharp. Since it was Ishigami's request, he'd give it a shot. Hopefully, Ojino would value the chance. If not, well, it'd save him the cost of a plane ticket. International flights aren't cheap. Chapter 29, Weekend Plans? So that's the situation. I got asked by a friend to investigate some guy who's allegedly a scumbag. And I need to gather evidence. On the rooftop after school, Takuman Renji sat with Ryuju Momo as usual. Though not every club activity involved just chatting with this Yakuza-heiress, Takuman had gotten used to it. You're a first year, right? Want me to handle it? No need for now. I've already sent a few people to investigate. Should get results soon. Takuman replied. If he really is guilty, I'll just give him a warning. And if he doesn't listen, let him go swimming in Tokyo Bay. Well, let's hope he lives long then. Ryuju Momo lay on her inflatable cushion, playing a game on her phone. By the way, ever since you joined the Public Morals Committee, do you know what people say about you? I know my reputation isn't great. They call you Takuman the Unrepentant. You've done some pretty ruthless stuff lately. Momo said. He had heavily punished rule breakers. Like kicking in a window to catch 3 guys reading dirty magazines, or breaking up couples using intel. In every way, Takuman was far from a normal student. I don't care. Those who don't respect me deserve my own methods. I don't have to cater to people I don't like. Still the same, doing whatever you want. You sure you're not struggling to adjust to peacetime after being on the battlefield? Takuman had shared his Middle Eastern war stories with Ryuju over several club meetings. I guess I'm not really used to it. Takuman chuckled. If I had to say, I still kind of miss those days. Coming to Japan this time was really out of necessity. Do you really think the battlefield is better than the peaceful life of a school? Ryuju Momo frowned. Everyone has an environment they're suited for. Over there, even though we were fighting every day. That feeling of bullets whizzing past your ears, grenades exploding nearby, the constant dance with death. It made me feel truly alive. I didn't need to think about all that messy stuff. It's just a shame I was forced back into school and can't return. You sure it's not just because you couldn't handle your breakup and wanted to run away? You're overthinking it. Takuman Renji smiled, habitually taking out a cigarette and lighting it. He exhaled a puff of smoke and looked up at the clouds in the sky. Those 4 years on the battlefield were a kind of training. I may keep roasting myself over that breakup, but I've already let go of what happened 4 years ago. Compared to losing comrades every day. He stubbed the cigarette out on the ground, still smiling. Love and all that. It's just boring. And the time cost is way too high. There's really no need to waste energy on it. President, you're still here? After finishing the astronomy club's club activities, Takuman Renji stopped by the student council office as usual. Once again, only Miyuki Shirogane was there. Every time, he was sitting at the same desk, making you wonder if his butt was glued to the chair. Oh, Treasurer Takuman, you're here. Seeing it was Takuman, Miyuki smiled. The phone you gave me works really well. Just a bit heavy. Well, it's built to withstand tank treads, so being heavy makes sense. Takuman tossed his backpack onto the sofa and sat down. I gave it to you so we could stay in contact more easily, but you really made full use of it and downloaded a ton of apps. The phone Takuman gave him had ended up loaded with educational apps. Aside from the occasional message, Miyuki had been glued to it non-stop for a while. You read the info I sent you about Miss Shinamiya, right? I did. It was about her route to school and her usual schedule. Where'd you get that? Personal sources. He hadn't put too much effort into investigating further. He'd already promised Aunt Kaya he wouldn't make a move on Kaguya Shinamiya, so there was no need to dig too deep. Takuman lightly tapped his finger on the table. As for hobbies and preferences, I'll need more time. I also have to divert some people to investigate other targets. Just like his father restricted his living allowance, he also had limits on how many personnel he could mobilize. It wasn't feasible to bring in a large group just to handle private matters. No, what you gave me is more than enough. No need to waste more time on this. I'm just an informant. What you do with the info is up to you. Takuman said. You know I'm a total scrub when it comes to romance. And I'm too lazy to use brain cells on that stuff anymore. I get it. Speaking of which, tomorrow's the weekend. Are you free, President? Huh? The weekend. I've got work. You sure are busy. Gotta help out with the family finances. It can't be helped. Miyuki said with a sigh. Didn't I hear you work too? Earning your own living expenses and all. Oh, I can't go back to my job right now. Seiga Sosuke wouldn't allow him back on the Middle Eastern battlefield, so for now he was stuck in Japan. He had no other plans for the weekend. At most, he'd show his face at the research department he was affiliated with. That's a shame. Miyuki nodded sympathetically. He figured Takuman's job must have been shut down for renovations or he got fired. I was gonna ask how you usually spend your weekends. If there's anywhere fun to go, maybe you could take me. Sorry, I usually don't have the time to go anywhere. Wait. Miyuki's eyes suddenly lit up. What? Come work with me. Huh? Takuman looked up and saw Miyuki giving him a thumbs up. Chapter 30, Extreme Sports Will Definitely Get You Killed. Welcome. On Saturday, in a sports goods store, Takuman, Renji and Miyuki Shire again were in work uniforms greeting customers. After hearing that Takuman's previous job was no longer available, Miyuki remembered his own workplace was still short on staff and enthusiastically invited him to work there. Takuman didn't actually need a part-time job. The 1,000 yen hourly wage at a place like this was pocket change to him. But since the president had invited him, and Takuman had nowhere else to go on weekends anyway, he followed Miyuki to the sports store. The store manager was an older man. Seeing the two of them working, he smiled as he approached. Shirigane, thanks for helping me find an extra pair of hands. No problem at all. Renji coming to help is a big help to me too. Miyuki said with a smile. The manager nodded, then turned to Takuman. Your first time working here, huh? The job's pretty simple. Just tidy up stock when it's slow, greet customers, and try to promote our products. Got it. By the way, you're good at promoting products, right? That happens to be one of my specialties. Takuman nodded, remembering something from 2 years ago. Mr. Real, if you want to withstand pressure from the other two families, small pistols won't cut it. Firepower suppression is the key. Facing a group of suited, sunglasses-wearing mafia members, Takuman casually took an SMG out of his briefcase. This is the MP5K submachine gun by HK. 9mm caliber, theoretical fire rate of 900 rounds per minute. Roller delayed blowback. Most importantly, it's compact. Perfect for unexpected situations. Mr. Takuman, I understand all that, but what about the price? Price stays the same. You know how hard it is for me to smuggle goods while dodging those annoying Interpol bastards. And recently even the damn CIA has been on my tail. Just getting it here is a miracle. Ugh. Fine. Same as usual. Cash only. Ammo not included. Back in the present. Manager, product promotion is something I'm good at. Great. I'll be out picking up some stock. Leaving the store to you two today. The manager left, satisfied. After he was gone, Takuman walked over to Miyuki, who was organizing snowboards. President, mind giving me an overview of the products here? So I can better sell them when customers show up. I thought you said you were good at selling? Never sold sports gear before. I need some product knowledge. Alright. Miyuki didn't refuse. After all, he had invited Takuman. It wouldn't be right to just leave him hanging. Which section are you in charge of? The clothing section. Takuman replied. Mind going over each item's features with me? Like whether it can stop shrapnel or reduce blunt trauma. What are you even talking about? Miyuki often found himself confused by Takuman's words, but he still seriously explained what to focus on. Most of the clothes here are for sports. Ski jackets focus on insulation, t-shirts emphasize breathability. The key is considering what the customer needs. Thinking from the customer's perspective. I get you. As long as you understand. You've worked jobs before, right? Should be a quick study. Miyuki said with a smile. Even on a Saturday, the store wasn't particularly busy. Mostly because it was a bit out of the way. Reportedly, the store was about 10 kilometers from Miyuki's home. And since his only transport was a bike, that meant he had to pedal quite a ways just to get to work. As for Takuman, he took a cab. With a wage of 1,000 yen per hour and a 5-hour shift, he made 5,000 yen. But spent 15,000 yen on the cab. So clearly, he wasn't here for the money. Hello. Welcome. Just then, a couple, seemingly boyfriend and girlfriend, walked into the store. They headed straight for Takuman's section. Hello. Is there anything I can help you with? Takuman slipped into his role with ease. Hi, clerk. We're looking for a ski jacket. A ski jacket. Are you heading to the nearby ski resort? Yes. The two exchanged a smile. We're into extreme sports. We're heading up the snowy mountains in a week. Oh, extreme sports, huh? Got any recommendations? I recommend this orange one. Takuman pulled out a thick orange ski jacket from the rack and displayed it in front of them. Miyuki, watching from the side, nodded in approval. Looks like I don't need to worry. What's special about this orange jacket? The man asked. Oh, it's really eye-catching. Takuman replied. And being eye-catching helps how? Well, if you die out there, it'll make it easier for the rescue team to find your body. The couple. Miyuki. Excuse me, could you say that again, store clerk? Of course. If you unfortunately die while doing extreme sports, these clothes are highly visible in snowy mountain areas. That way, when the rescue team's helicopter arrives, it can easily spot your corpses lying in the snow. You too, think about it. Will extreme sports get you killed? Of course they will. If not, that just means you're not extreme enough. Shirogane, Renji, wait a second. But Takuman Renji continued enthusiastically, and even if the rescue team doesn't come, your corpses won't blend in during a blizzard. Wearing this bright orange outfit, you'll still serve as a landmark. That'll help warn future visitors and give them something to talk about. Hey, don't leave yet, I haven't finished talking. These two customers were surprisingly patient. Even after hearing something like that, they didn't slap him on the spot. But judging by their trembling shoulders and determined steps as they left, it was almost certain a complaint was coming. Strange, I thought I made a perfectly reasonable point. I shouldn't have asked you to help with this job. Shirogane covered his face, already regretting bringing such an oddball with him. Chapter 31, Actually, I'm pretty confident in my cooking. Working at a sports store really is a boring job. I shouldn't have brought you. I don't mean to blame you, President. Please don't take it the wrong way. I'm the one who should be bothered. Do you even understand what selling means? Shirogane yelled in Takuman's ear. This shop only had a few customers to begin with, and Takuman had already driven away 3 groups with his nonsense. With things like this, even Shirogane, who introduced Takuman, might lose his part-time job. Sigh. Well, we'll switch to a new location next time anyway. I do feel kind of sorry for the store owner, though. President, your part-time jobs aren't fixed. I usually switch places every once in a while. Shirogane explained. It's a way to gain real-life experience. Though it does cause issues with the scheduling, the good thing about part-time jobs is that you can move around freely. As expected of the president. So thoughtful. Well, of course. Shirogane realized that whether what he said was true or not, Takuman always seemed to believe him. It was rare to have such a trusting student council treasurer. So, President, what are your plans after work? It's almost evening. I'll stop by the supermarket for some ingredients and head home to cook dinner. Dad's coming home late today, so it's up to me. I see. Then. Can I come over to your house? Huh? My house? Shirogane was a bit surprised. Yeah. I haven't eaten yet either. Normally I just have a red bean bun. But don't judge me by my looks. I'm actually pretty good at cooking. I could make us a meal at your place too. Is that a problem? No, not really. If you want to come, sure. Shirogane smiled awkwardly. But don't expect too much. You'll probably be disappointed. You're exaggerating a bit, aren't you? After wandering around the supermarket for about an hour, the two of them headed to Shirogane's home together. Since Shirogane had biked more than 10 kilometers to get to work, and since the shop they worked at was in a sporting goods mall, Takuman had gone ahead and bought himself a bike too. Frankly, Shirogane still didn't understand Takuman's behavior. It was full of mysteries. Like who would spend 3 times their daily wage just to work a job? Or buy a bike just to ride home with someone? Only Takuman would do that. In Shirogane's bike basket were some discounted groceries, bean sprouts and other cheap ingredients. Takuman's bike, on the other hand, had a massive plastic bag filled with who knows what. Eventually, they parked their bikes in front of an old, run-down apartment building. Shire again took out a key and headed up the stairs. President. What is it? Do you normally live here? Are you surprised? Not really. Takuman looked at the aging two-story building that looked like a single gust of wind could knock it over. Even from the outside, it smelled a little moldy. Still, it wasn't bad. Back when he was in the Middle East, Takuman had lived in field tents. By comparison, this was at least a roof over his head. Climbing the creaky, rusted iron stairs, Shire again stopped at one of the doors and inserted the key. It's a small place, but the rent is only 50,000 yen. That's super cheap for Tokyo. And no key money. That's true. Takuman knew how expensive Tokyo rent was. Finding a place for 50,000 yen was already a miracle. Click. The door opened. Takuman called out, "Sorry to intrude," and followed Shire again inside. The place was cramped and oppressive. Maybe not even 30 square meters. As Takuman stepped in, he noticed a girl with long silver-white hair sitting at the table. The girl glanced back without saying anything, but when she saw Takuman, her eyes widened in shock. "Bro, you brought a girl home?" "Takuman, huh? Don't be ridiculous. He's a guy. My classmate." Shire again quickly clarified. Takuman couldn't help touching his own face. "Did she just call me a girl? No way. With this rugged, manly face? Mistaken for a girl?" Shire again. "Probably just didn't get a good look. Don't worry about it." That's when Takuman got a proper look at the girl. Silver white long hair, cute face, a cold expression. Her sharp eyes resembled Shire again's a little. "President, is that your sister?" Takuman asked. "Ah, yes. This is my little sister, Shire again. Nice to meet you, President's sister. I'm his loyal lackey. Don't introduce yourself like that." Shire again quickly stopped Takuman and awkwardly explained, "He's a new transfer student at Shuchen, a foreign exchange student named Takuman Rinji. He's the student council treasurer." "Oh. Hello," said indifferently, turning her head away. "You and your sister don't get along?" "It's just a rebellious phase." "Oh." Takuman didn't really mind. He glanced toward the kitchen and walked over, setting his bag down. "Eh? You're gonna cook? I came to your house, I can't just eat for free. Gotta do something, right?" Takuman grinned. "Didn't I tell you? I'm actually pretty good at cooking." "Thanks, I appreciate it." "No worries." "Oh, right." Takuman pulled an apron from the side and put it on, pointing at the bag by the kitchen. "President, help me get the fish." "Fish? You bought fish too?" Shire again didn't think much of it. He opened the bag and found a neatly packed, vibrant red piece of fish. Then he saw the price tag and nearly passed out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 zeros? What the hell did you buy? Chapter 32, he really feels like a momu. What the hell did you buy? Oh, that? It's called bluefin tuna. I bought the akami, lean meat, part. Apparently, it's a rare catch today. Why would you buy that? I heard that if you come to Japan and don't eat Kobe beef or bluefin tuna, it's like you never came. Who told you that nonsense? With cold sweat on his forehead, Shire again stared at the 1.2 million yen price tag on the tuna and imagined how many days he'd have to work to afford something like that. Note, the mech probably brought several kg and must be highest quality one. I heard they sold at 276 kilograms bluefin tuna for $1.3 million or roughly 190 million yen. Shut up already, bro. Don't yell. Sitting behind him, scolded him as she walked up to see what all the fuss was about. And then she saw the massive box of tuna and the price tag. You've got to be kidding. You saw it right. Squatted down and started pulling items out of Takuman's massive grocery bag one by one. Each time she did, both siblings' eyes widened more. 100 grams of Alma's caviar, 216,000 yen, tax included. 500 grams of matsutake mushrooms, 108,000 yen, tax included. A square watermelon, 15,000 yen, before tax. 1 kilogram of veal, 5,000 yen. Seasonal ingredients, sauces, and new kitchenware, countless. Bro. Who is this guy? Same as us. From Shuchen's general track. Supposedly his family runs a farm. Farming is that profitable now? Shuchen was a school for wealthy and elite kids, but students still had allowances. No one just casually spent over 1 million yen on a single meal. In the kitchen, Takuman was washing utensils while asking the siblings in the living room, "What kind of meal do you want? French style? Japanese style? Just regular Japanese food is fine." "Got it. Wait a bit." Takuman turned around, took the fish from Shirigain, and carried the rest of the plastic bag into the kitchen. The siblings sat at the dining table, waiting. In their hearts, they were both doing mental math, trying to figure out how long they'd have to work to afford a meal like this. After a rough estimate, it looked like half a year's salary for a family of 3 would be poured into this one meal. Renji. He seems kinda clueless about common sense, huh? My bro went and recruited a weirdo into the student council. Shirogane had originally wanted to use a term like sucker. But thinking about how they'd all be eating this food anyway, it felt a little inappropriate. It didn't take long before Takuman Renji, wearing an apron, came out holding a small plate of food and placed it in front of the siblings. Appetizer first. Grated daikon with seasoned fish roe. The black fish roe mixed with the daikon looked like something from a high-end restaurant. Just the plating alone was appetizing. Renji. Did you used to be a chef? No, but I did study it formally when I was younger. Takuman replied with a smile. Back then, I didn't even need to go shopping. My family runs a farm, so we always had fresh ingredients on hand. I see. After speaking, Takuman returned to the kitchen to prepare the next dish. The siblings hesitated briefly before each taking a spoonful. Delicious. Soon, Takuman brought out the second dish. This is the starter. Miso marinated egg yolk, and sea urchin with jellyfish. Seriously, who actually eats like this at home? Isn't a typical meal just a few stir-fries and a bowl of rice? Why the gourmet treatment? They really couldn't comprehend Takuman's way of thinking. But, looking at the beautifully crafted dish, they couldn't help picking up their chopsticks again. So good. Then Takuman brought out sashimi of bluefin tuna. The bright red fish, arranged with expert presentation, made it clear to the siblings. This guy was seriously trained. Hey, Renji. Now what? Well, you're Chinese, right? I thought you'd only be good at Chinese cuisine, but your Japanese cooking is amazing. It wasn't just amazing. It was professional, maybe even master level. I told you, I studied it specifically. Oh? Was there a reason you specifically went and studied Japanese cuisine? For some reason, Takuman's vibe instantly dropped. Ah. Got it. Renji, your cooking is really good. Sorry for asking. Even without thinking, one could guess why Takuman would go out of his way to learn Japanese cuisine. Judging from that gloomy expression, it had to be another heartbreak. Just one sentence, and he had hit the landmine. Shirogane Miyuki decided to shut up for the rest of the night. Takuman went back to the kitchen to prepare the main course. The siblings kept eating the sashimi while occasionally glancing at Takuman's back in the kitchen. Bro, doesn't your treasurer remind you of someone? Who? When Mom was still around. Their silhouettes are almost identical. He's a guy. At least say he looks like Dad. Shirogane Miyuki turned his head again and saw Takuman's busy figure. Before Mom left the family, she used to cook like this in the kitchen too. Click. I'm home. What's that amazing smell? Dad, you're back? A slightly haggard middle-aged man stepped through the door. The moment he entered, the rich aroma wafted into his nose. Following the scent toward the kitchen, he saw Takuman grilling eel. His eyes widened. You're back? Takuman turned and gave the man a confused look. Sorry, I mistook you for someone else. You're Miyuki's classmate. Yes, I'm the student council treasurer, Takuman Renji. I see. So this is the first classmate Miyuki's brought home. Must be a trustworthy friend. Taking off his coat and hanging it up, the middle-aged man, Shirogane sibling's father, sat at the table, picked up a slice of sashimi, dipped it in soy sauce, and took a bite. Bluefin tuna, huh? Pretty fresh. Uncle, since you're back, I bought a little extra. I'll make your portion too. Appreciate it. Shirogane's father, the author notes he doesn't know his name. You can even call him Shirogane Dio if you want, nodded and whispered to Miyuki, you bring a guest home and let him cook? That's no way to host. He insisted. Chapter 33, come on, call me big bro, your classmate is something else. Shirogane's father admired the sashimi laid out in a blooming rose pattern, each slice cut to perfect, even thickness. Does his family run a restaurant? No, apparently they run a farm. But honestly, I don't buy it. Miyuki said. I see. Soon after, Takuman brought out the main course. The main wasn't as fancy. Everyone got a bowl of eel rice and a plate of tempura. Finally done with his kitchen marathon, Takuman sat down to eat as well. How does it taste? Shirogane Miyuki, delicious. Shirogane, so good. Shirogane's father, almost flawless. Thanks for the meal. No need to thank me. Since I was out working part-time with the president today and dropped by his house, I figured I'd cook something too. Asked, Takuman senpai, how did my brother invite you into the student council? I asked to join. The president agreed. I see. My brother must have caused you some trouble. Hey. He's the one causing me trouble. Miyuki protested. But glared him into silence. Not at all. The president always considers others and works hard. I really admire that. You hear that? Shut up, bro. Chiragane's father said, you're the first classmate Miyuki's brought home. You two must be close at school. Miyuki? Not really. We've only known each other for about a week. Even he didn't understand why he brought someone he barely knew home. It had never happened before. As student council president, he was popular and had lots of casual friends. But none close enough to bring home. Takuman, though, was different. Despite constantly pulling dumb stunts at school, he had an oddly familiar vibe. About half an hour later, the eel rice bowls were mostly empty. Takuman returned to the kitchen and brought out ice cream and freshly sliced watermelon. Here. Dessert and fruit. Why make this feel like a five-star restaurant? I heard this is how people eat in Japan. No. Regular families definitely don't do this. Took a bite of the ice cream and let out a blissful sigh. Well, I gotta admit. Senpai cooks way better than my brother. You. Ugh, fine. You're not wrong. Miyuki knew full well his amateur skills didn't hold a candle to Takuman's pro-level cooking. If there's a chance, I'll come cook again. Takuman said with a smile. Next time, don't use such expensive ingredients. This meal cost over 1,000,000 yen. If you feel bad about it, just make me a bento on Monday. Huh? What kind? Just the usual ones you make. Sure. You know, it's kind of amazing. Chiragane's father said, eating watermelon and looking at the three kids, it really feels like a family. Dad, please don't start thinking of Renji as mom. Of course not. Takuman-kun feels more like the eldest son of the house. I'm the eldest son. The eldest, huh? I'm actually an only child, so I've never really experienced what it's like to be a big brother. As he said that, Takuman casually threw an arm over Miyuki's shoulder. President, call me big bro. No way. I'm the upperclassman here. Renji called out sweetly without hesitation. Good, you're my little sister now. If you ever have trouble at school, just call your big bro. As the student council treasurer and disciplinary officer, I promise cross-campus enforcement. You've said enough. Miyuki couldn't handle Takuman's nonsense anymore. Phew. At the entrance of an old apartment building, Takuman Renji leaned against the railing, gazing at the brightly lit skyscrapers sparkling in the night. This rundown apartment building was quite a rare sight in Tokyo, like a grilled snack stall suddenly popping up inside a luxury hotel. He leaned against the railing, smoking a cigarette. The smoke drifted upward from the glowing tip. Renji, aren't you violating school rules again, as a member of the disciplinary committee? We're off campus now. The disciplinary committee doesn't have jurisdiction here. Takuman Renji said with a smile. Thanks again for today. It's rare for my family to have a good meal. Are you sure it's okay to spend so much money? Your family. I didn't spend my family's money. I earned it from part-time jobs. And money is meant to be spent. If you don't spend it, it loses its value. You really are. Chiragane Miyuki smiled and walked over to Renji, leaning his back against the railing and looking up at the sky. Kaguya gave me an assessment of you before. But I think she may have been wrong. Oh? What did she say? She said you're ruthless, violent, disregard rules. And that you don't see people as people. Miyuki said with a wry smile. Now that I think about it, those descriptions were a bit too much. No. Takuman Renji stubbed out his cigarette and turned to look at Miyuki. That's a very accurate evaluation, President. Eh? Although I find that heiress of the Shinomiya family annoying, that evaluation was surprisingly honest and precise. Renji said. As she said, I'm not a good person to begin with. But the reason she was able to describe me so accurately is because I never hide that side of me. Miyuki could relate to that. Despite his handsome appearance, his wealth, and the fact that he could openly confront the Shuchin student union, even holding some influence. If he just acted like a normal student, his popularity at school would rival Miyuki's. Yet Renji always chose to waste all his good cards. He didn't know how to hide his darkness. He had no mask of personality. But do people without masks really exist? A mask can hide all your weaknesses and flaws. And yet, Renji seemed to have no interest in doing that. Chapter 34, The President Made Me a Lunchbox. Jealous? I'm kind of jealous of you, Renji. Huh? What's there to be jealous of? You don't have to hide your flaws, don't need to wear a mask in life. Miyuki said with a bitter smile. I absolutely can't show my weakness. I can't afford to. That's not necessarily a bad thing. To achieve your goals, you show your best side to everyone. Takuman Renji leaned on the railing, gazing silently at the skyscrapers outside and listening to the sound of distant cars. His thoughts drifted to the past. There was a time I wanted to be a normal person too. But a mask isn't something you can just put on when you feel like it. Deep down, I'm still that cruel and ruthless guy. I might wear it for a while, but eventually the truth will come out. He spoke lightly and tossed the burnt-out cigarette off the balcony. And wearing a mask when you look in the mirror, you might not even recognize yourself. That's why I've grown too lazy to bother wearing one just to meet other people's expectations. Besides, I never wore masks to protect myself. I see. The weekend passed quickly, and it was Monday again. Takuman Renji stood outside the corridor with his bag, speaking into his phone. Hello? Did you find anything? Just as expected. Keep gathering evidence over the next few days, then send everything to my email. No need, if it comes to it, I'll deal with him myself. Alright, thanks again. After ending the call, he calmly put his phone away, his expression cold as he looked toward the classroom. Renji, good morning. Morning. Oh, Ishigami, just the person I wanted to see. Takuman called him over immediately. What's up? The thing you asked me to investigate? Ojinoko. There's a result now. That fast? Ishigami was surprised. He thought it'd take at least a month. Renji glanced around, then pulled Ishigami aside into a less traveled spot. It's just as you suspected. That guy's a repeat offender. Renji said. He's conned 4 girls already, threatening them with photos to keep quiet. His next target seems to be Kyoko Oitamo, and he's already contacted 3 different guys. My people are still collecting evidence. In a few days, we'll wrap this up. I'll handle him. Renji said, patting Ishigami's shoulder. For now, act like nothing's going on. Don't do anything rash. Ishigami clenched his fists, his shoulders trembling. His anger had reached a breaking point. Got it. Good. You can give him a warning if you want. Just to let him know trouble's coming. I'd prefer to avoid resorting to extreme methods. I understand. Thanks for everything. What are you saying? You're my bro. Buzz. Oh, it's here. Renji checked his phone. The person he hired had already sent some of the evidence. He copied the files to a memory card and handed it to Ishigami. Use this as leverage if you try to negotiate. Understood. After the morning classes, it was finally break time. As a member of the student council, Renji could enjoy a lunch in the council office. Good environment, and free coffee. He walked into the office with a red bean bun. Besides the president, 2 familiar faces were already inside. Vice President Shinomiya Kaguya, and Secretary Fujiwara Chika. Oh my, it's Renji-kun. Rare to see you here, said Kaguya. I come here often when you're not around. Although he didn't like Kaguya or her kun nickname for him, Renji still sat down and unwrapped his bun. Note, in the raw, Kaguya addressed Renji as junior. And in Japan, the term for addressing a junior is kuhai. However, kuhai is not used as a suffix when addressing someone directly, unlike the term senpai. Hence I used kun. What are you eating, Renji-kun? Fujiwara curiously looked at his red bean bun. That's so boring. A single bun is enough to keep my energy up. When you're just using your brain in class, sugar is what matters most. He glanced at the 2 girls. Fujiwara seemed to have eaten already. As for Kaguya, her extravagant bento box was steaming with steak and lobster. Everything perfectly balanced and clearly made with premium ingredients. As expected from the Shinomiya heiress. Even lunch is ridiculous. Would you like some, Renji-kun? Kaguya asked with a smile. I'll pass. Shirogane suddenly seemed to remember something, grabbed a bag, and walked over. Renji, I promised on Saturday. So I made you a bento this morning. Oh. Thanks a lot. No problem. Just used leftover ingredients. Miyuki smiled. As Renji took the lunchbox, Kaguya's expression froze. What's going on? The president made Renji a bento? Why? None of them noticed Kaguya's shocked face. Renji opened the box, smiled at the still warm food, and said, how about I come to your place again this Saturday? I've got nothing planned. Again? He's already been to the president's house? I haven't even gone once. Kaguya tried to stay calm while eating, but her chopsticks were grinding audibly under her teeth. I don't mind. Miyuki said. But this time you're not allowed to buy ingredients. You already brought stuff last time. Seems to want you to come again too. She even complained about today's bento. Then maybe I'll stay over Sunday night. I can cook breakfast too. Stay over at the president's house? If Renji were a girl, Kaguya might have fainted from the shock. Fortunately, he was a guy. So the worst that could happen was some rivalry. Wait. That bastard better not have badmouthed me at the president's house. Kaguya's face went through several stages. From shock to denial, calm to panic. Very entertaining. Chapter 35, talking bad about people is best done to their face. Did he badmouth me at the president's place? Ugh. I'm so anxious. But I can't just ask directly. Kaguya regained her calm and began scheming again. How can I indirectly find out what Rinji told him? If he did badmouth me, then my image in the president's mind must have taken a huge hit. Damn it. Why does it have to be Rinji? If it were any other guy, she wouldn't worry at all. But Rinji had been hostile to the Shinomiya family for 4 years. Even if he promised not to mess with her at school, there was no way he hadn't talked behind her back. Rinji-kun stayed at the president's house on Saturday? Fujiwara shouted. Going to a classmate's house is normal, right? Rinji replied. I guess so. Still, I didn't expect you to be able to cook, Rinji-kun. Rinji is really talented. Miyuki added with a smile. His cooking is on a professional level. I was shocked the first time. Really? That's amazing. So he won the president over with cooking? Not bad. Kaguya narrowed her eyes and thought, maybe I could use this method too. Learn a few dishes, then make dinner at the president's house. That would. Her cheeks turned bright red. That would be just like a newlywed wife. The sudden embarrassment caused her brain to freeze. All her prior strategy vanished in a puff of steam. My family runs a farm, so we always have fresh ingredients. Cooking naturally came with it. Rinji said. Then. Fujiwara tapped her chin thoughtfully. Can you make ramen? I can. What is it you want to say? Can you cook for me? Chika asked with a smile. No. Why can you cook at the president's place but not for me? Faced with Chika Fujiwara's emotional outburst, Takaman Rinji replied calmly, that's because. Because. Washing dishes is too much trouble. I usually just eat red bean bread for lunch. I don't normally cook. Stuff like this has to depend on fate. Stingy. Chika pouted. It's just that the timing isn't right. Nothing I can do. After rejecting Fujiwara Chika's request, Takaman Rinji continued eating his bando. Kaguya had also recovered from her earlier embarrassment and resumed thinking through her strategy. Right now, I need to figure out whether he talked bad about me in front of the president. But if I ask directly, that would just be admitting that I care about what the president thinks of me. No way I can let that happen. I need to go about this indirectly. Ideally, I should find someone else to ask for me. Hey, Rinji-kun. Chika suddenly spoke up. What now? Have you always had a bad relationship with Kaguya? It's not exactly with her personally. I just have a grudge against the Shinomiya family. Like a family feud? Not quite. My old man wouldn't even know small fries like them. It's a personal matter between me and their whole family. When Renji casually called the Shinomiya family small fries, Kaguya's eyebrows twitched. I see. Chika furrowed her brows, then leaned close to him. Then you didn't secretly talk bad about Kaguya at the president's house, did you? Nice. Secretary Fujiwara, as expected of my good friend. Just as the situation was at a standstill, Chika's direct question gave Kaguya a ray of hope. The question she wanted to ask most was finally voiced. You shouldn't think like that. We should trust our fellow student council members. I believe Renji-kun wouldn't talk behind others' backs. This was a lie. No one believed more than her that Renji would do exactly that. She said it mainly to observe his reaction and also to present herself as someone who trusts her comrades in front of President Shirogane. Huh? You think I'm that petty? Renji looked at Chika with disdain, as if she'd asked something incredibly stupid. I figured. If I talk bad about someone, I say it to their face. Secretary Fujiwara, if you want to hear bad things about Kaguya Shinomiya, I'll tell you all of them right now. Kaguya. He clearly didn't care that the person in question was still right there. Come on now, you should get along in the student council. As the treasurer, how can you say something like that? Chika crossed her arms in disapproval. Everyone should be friendly. Secretary Fujiwara is right. Shirogane, who was already back at his seat, spoke up. Since we're all gathered in the student council, we're all working together. Let's try to avoid resentment. Yeah. Renji looked at Shirogane, then at Kaguya. He had a task. To matchmake these two. That way, when the Shinomiya family makes their move, he'd have enough justification to act. If he stayed on bad terms with Kaguya, he might ruin things between her and the president. Don't worry. I'm just an ordinary student here at Shuchen. I'll get along well with my classmates. Yup, very obedient. Renji-kun's such a good kid. Hearing that made Renji want to punch Chika, so he ignored her and kept eating. Kaguya, now more at ease, glanced at Renji's bendo. Truthfully, she really wanted to taste the president's cooking, But she couldn't bring herself to ask. The president's own lunch was definitely off limits. She couldn't bring herself to ask for a bite. But Rinji's bento. If I trade one of the lobsters from my bento for a piece of fish, that should be fair, right? Rinji-kun. All done. The president's cooking wasn't bad. Ha ha, thanks for the compliment, though it's nothing compared to your own cooking. Kaguya. Looking at the now empty bento box, Kaguya couldn't fathom how it had all disappeared. He ate way too fast. Chapter 36, You Dare Take Sides? After closing the bento box, Takeman Rinji packed up his things, ready to leave the student council office. President, I'm heading out. The discipline committee needs me for patrol. I'll wash and return your bento box later. Got it. Under Kaguya's disappointed gaze, Takeman left the office. She never got a single bite of Shiragane's bento. Takeman-kun sure is busy. He is both the student council accountant and a member of the discipline committee. Chika commented as she looked at the door he'd exited through. Well, that's just the kind of person he is. He's handled all the budget work seriously too. Shiragane said with a smile. Speaking of which, Kaguya. Chika suddenly leaned toward her. Takeman said he had some past issues with your family. What was that about? Well, Kaguya only vaguely remembered what happened 4 years ago. But just Chika bringing it up sent chills down her spine. That night. Bodyguards lying unconscious, Takeman Rinji covered in blood, and those crimson eyes. That memory still haunted her like a nightmare. Kaguya's eyes were also red, and for years after the incident, she couldn't even look in the mirror without remembering it. She didn't know much, only that something related to business escalated into violence. And of course, there was also the matter of Ihai Asaka. I don't know the details. You can ask him yourself if you want. Okay, I will. But knowing Chika, she'd probably forget about this in no time. After washing the bento box in the sink, Takeman stepped out of the bathroom, planning to head back to class. As a discipline committee member, he still had to patrol the school to check for couples and find ways to split them up. Though there were school rules, many students blatantly ignored them. According to Macho, the original Shuchin Academy had extremely strict rules due to its status as an elite school. But in this era, with more indulgent parents, the rules had gotten more lenient. Outsiders mostly described Shuchin as a high-deviation value school for second-generation rich kids. A very accurate description. Takeman didn't join the discipline committee out of a desire to reform the school. He just wanted to deal with all those clingy couples who annoyed him. Now then, how many lovebirds do I get to split up today? Clang. Just as he mumbled that while walking to the classroom door, a loud thud caught his attention. Curious, he opened the door to find the room nearly empty. Only 2 people were still there. Ishigami Yu, and Ojinoko. The guy Takeman had asked someone to investigate. Ojino had stabbed a pair of scissors into the desk, and a shattered memory card lay beside them. I thought I'd hidden it well. How did you find out? Ojino glared at Ishigami with venom. Did you ask someone to dig into me? What's going on here? Takeman stepped in and walked over to them. Oh, it's Takeman-kun. Nothing serious, just chatting with Ishigami. Ojino quickly changed his tone upon seeing him. He knew this guy. An unhinged discipline committee member. Okay, keep chatting. I'll watch. Is there a problem? No. Takeman, can I talk to Ojino alone for a bit? Ishigami asked. Seeing his request, Takeman nodded. Sure. Just don't lose your cool. Got it. After Takeman moved to the side of the classroom, Ishigami continued, I'm not going to report you. But I hope you stop doing this kind of thing. I don't want it to blow up. Ojino paused and glanced at Takeman out of the corner of his eye. Seeing him not paying attention, Ojino grinned. This is a bit tricky. I'm already dating Kyoko. Would be a waste to quit now. How about a compromise? He slung an arm over Ishigami's shoulder and whispered, You like Kyoko, right? Come to my place tonight. I'll let you have her for a couple of days. That sentence snapped the last thread of Ishigami's sanity. Still unaware of the storm coming, Ojino turned away casually and added, I'll convince her. Worst case, we can get rough. Boom. Before he could finish, Ishigami's fist smashed into his face. You bastard. What do you take Kyoko for? Blow after blow, Ishigami punched Ojino in the face, as if nothing else in the world existed. Hey. I told you to calm down. Takeman Rinji, who had been standing on the side, saw Ishigami go straight for the punches and immediately realized he had lost control. He stepped forward, wanting to pull him away. Rinji. Leave me alone. Today I'm going to smash his face until no girl would ever like him again. I have no problem with that, but you can't fight on school grounds. If someone sees. Before Takeman Rinji could finish, he saw students beginning to enter the classroom. What they saw as they walked in was Takumi Rinji, Ko Ojino, and Yu Ishigami all entangled in a brawl. TCH, of course you all show up now. Great timing. Ojino, who had been taking the brunt of Ishigami's beating, suddenly revealed a sinister expression. He lowered his voice and whispered to Ishigami, "Back off. I won't do anything to Kyoko from now on, but if this continues, she'll be the one to suffer." Those words successfully froze Ishigami's raised fist midair. But at the same time, it ignited a new fire in Takumi Rinji. Seeing Ishigami stop, Ojino, having waited for the perfect audience, suddenly looked pitiful and said with a weak voice, "Please stop fighting. I still have rehearsal for the drama club." Ishigami's eyes widened as he noticed the disapproving stares from classmates around them. He realized he'd fallen into Ojino's trap. I'm truly in love with Kyoko. Even if you beat me, I'll never break up with her." Thud. Before he could finish, Takumi Rinji delivered a flying kick straight to Ojino's face, sending him crashing into the wall unconscious. "Fine, I'll help you with that." He then stomped on Ojino's stomach. "What happened? Who's beating Ojino? Rinji? Or Ishigami?" "It's Rinji." Just as Ishigami was about to say something, Takumi Rinji turned around and punched him in the face. Bam. With utter confusion, Ishigami was sent flying into the crowd. "Why? Why did you hit me? Ishigami? You bastard, you took sides." "Took sides? I didn't." Ishigami, who had regained a bit of clarity, stood frozen. Looking at the frightened and disgusted stares classmates cast toward Takumi Rinji, and seeing others gently help him up, he understood Rinji's true intention. Chapter 37, he never put away his fangs. That was too much. That guy's a complete psycho. Why is someone like him a disciplinary committee member? The classroom was now packed with students, whispering as they pointed at Takumi Rinji with open disdain. "Why?" Takumi Rinji followed the voice and saw Kyoko Otomo step forward, visibly angry. She couldn't believe her boyfriend had been beaten so badly. She confronted Takumi Rinji. "Why? Why would you do this? Why?" "That's a funny question." Takumi Rinji sneered. "Obviously because I'm sick of you annoying couples." "What did you say? So just because of that, you beat up Ojino?" "That's not it." Ishigami, just helped to his feet, quickly tried to explain. Rinji would never. "Shut up, Ishigami." Rinji cut him off with a roar. "We'll deal with your meddling later. Anyway, let's get Ojino to the infirmary." "Why yeah, hurry." Several boys moved to help the unconscious Ojino, but Takumi Rinji stepped in front of them. "You've gone too far. Rinji. Do you even know what you're doing? You think after doing something like this, you can still..." Amid their outcry, Takumi Rinji, clearly irritated, scratched his ear and suddenly grabbed one student's collar and threw him out. Bam. The boy slammed into the wall and collapsed to the floor, groaning and holding his waist. The noisy classroom instantly went silent. "If you're not afraid of dying, step forward," Rinji said coldly, sweeping his sharp gaze across the room. Everyone instinctively stepped back. Seeing their fearful eyes, Takumi Rinji nodded in satisfaction, pulled out his phone, and made a call. "Hello? Yes, the target is severely injured. Please send an ambulance to Shuchin Academy, Class 1B, Minato Ward, Tokyo. Ojinoko. Please hurry." He hung up and smiled at the frozen students. "Don't worry, I've called an ambulance. Ojino doesn't need to go to the infirmary." One student muttered timidly, "But it's just a minor injury. There's no need to call an ambulance." "You're right." Rinji nodded, then walked up to Ojino, lifted his foot, and stomped down hard. Crack. Ah. With a scream of agony and a sound of bone breaking, Ojino passed out again. Now it's serious. This guy is absolutely insane. A total lunatic. Takumi Rinji's vicious actions had struck fear deep into the hearts of the students. What's going on here? Just then, the teacher arrived, followed by Rinji's classmates Sanomiko and Asaragi Kobachi. "Teacher, Ojino was beaten by Rinji. Is that true?" The teacher stepped forward, and upon seeing Ojino collapsed with a clearly broken leg, he gasped. Just what kind of hatred would drive someone to do this? "Who's Takumi Rinji?" "Right here." Rinji calmly raised his hand. "Good. Come with me to the office." "Sure." Takumi Rinji smiled and walked forward. As he approached, the students instinctively cleared a path for him, not even daring to meet his gaze. But one person stood in his way. "Rinji, why did you do this?" Sanomiko bit her lip, unable to believe Rinji could be responsible for all of this. The person who had once shared her ideals, doing something so brutal? When you ask why don't you investigate it yourself? With that, he walked past her. Just before leaving the classroom, he looked back at Ishigami. "Rinji. Ishigami tried to stop him, but one look from Renji was enough to make him freeze. That look said, "Stay out of it." In the end, the ambulance came and took the unconscious Ojino away. News of Takuman Renji's violent fight spread across every class in Shuchin Academy. Naturally, it reached the student council as well. Takuman Renji got into a fight. "I can't believe it," Miyuki Shirogane muttered in frustration. That usually friendly guy who often joked around. How could anyone associate him with such violence? Is Renji going to get punished? Chika Fujiwara asked anxiously. Definitely. Normally, for injuring someone in a fight, it's a 1-month suspension, plus a written reflection. And even if he comes back, Shirogane couldn't help but hold his head in his hands. He just couldn't understand. Why Takuman Renji of all people? "President, there's nothing strange about this," Kaguya Shinomiya said calmly while sipping her coffee. "I told you before. Renji is a violent person at heart." "That's true." Shirogane recalled their conversation from Saturday night. Takuman's own words. "President, just as she said, I'm not a good person. But Renji wouldn't just hurt someone for no reason. Then that unlucky guy must have provoked him." Kaguya placed her cup down and locked eyes with the troubled Shirogane. "He's different. He never hides the malice in his heart. I witnessed it 4 years ago. Then, he never tried to hide his fangs. Even now, among the flock, he won't conceal himself. The environment won't change him." "Is that so?" "Maybe you're right, but this matter isn't over yet." Shirogane Miyuki rummaged through the table and pulled out a roster. From it, he extracted a document. It contained all of Hikaru Ojino's personal information. "Takuman Renji is my friend." Chapter 38, We're still short on experimental materials. This was the first time in Shuchin Academy's 100-year history that a student was hospitalized because of a dispute with a classmate. Something this serious had to be dealt with strictly, otherwise the school would face immense pressure. "So, does that mean I'm getting expelled now? You bastard. So that's why you suddenly started a fight? You were hoping to get expelled?" Sagrakaya's brow twitched violently. She looked at Takuman Renji, who wore an expectant expression, and felt thoroughly irritated. She had been in her office preparing an exam when she got a message: Takuman Renji from Class 1B injured a classmate. The worst part? Her first reaction was, wait, he only got into a fight? You really want to leave school that badly? Planning to go back to the battlefield in Afghanistan? I've considered it. Forget it. I already spoke with Sosuke. You're not going back. Aunt Kaya, even you use these underhanded tactics? Shut it. At school, you call me Sagra-sensei. Sagrakaia irritably scratched her head, ruining her usually sleek blue hair. I'll speak to the school and try to get them to go easy on you. Please don't. Shut up. You listen to me while you're in school. She shouted. The current punishment is a 1-month suspension for you to reflect at home. Can we extend it a bit? The guy's in the hospital, after all. A month is the limit. Kaname sighed deeply. At least. You didn't kill anyone. Of course not. Renji replied matter-of-factly. The research department still needs live experimental subjects. They're in short supply right now. I knew you were acting too cooperative all of a sudden. Wait a second. The ambulance that took Ojino away. Did you call it? I did. Don't tell me. Kaya's face paled in horror. Your guess is close enough. That vehicle wasn't going to the hospital. It was headed to the research department. If he's lucky, they might still find his whole body tomorrow. How deep is your grudge? Honestly, not that deep. It's just complicated. It took about 10 minutes for Takuman Renji to explain the whole situation to Sagrakaia. I see. So that's what happened. Yeah, that's the whole story. You've grown. She said with a smile. This might be the first time you've actually considered someone else's feelings. Ishigami's my brother. Of course I care. That Ojino kid is a problem too. If we expose him, Otomo Kyoko could get hurt. But if we ignore it, no need to worry. He's practically gone already. And what about you? She asked helplessly. Aren't you worried about your reputation? We brought you to school so you could enjoy your youth, and now look at you. I am enjoying youth seriously. Stabbing someone for your bro is youth too, isn't it? It's not all about romance. Anyway, figure out how to get Ojino out of the research department. Alive or dead? What do you think? Alive. We need him alive to fix this mess. After being lectured endlessly in the office, Renji finally stepped outside. Kaya had told him that if he wanted a lighter punishment, he'd have to make sure Ojinoko stayed alive. Also, during his suspension, he should study seriously. Midterms were in a month. As he walked through the halls, students kept their distance. Some even stopped to point and whisper. I think that's him. The one who beat up the guy from the drama club. They say he was brutal. So scary. Someone said he's not even from here originally. Renji didn't say anything. He simply stopped walking and gave them a faint glance. That was enough to scatter the whispering students in fear. Guess I'm still pretty intimidating. Renji. Renji turned around at the voice. Ishigami stood there, head down. Ishigami, it's not a good time for you to be seen with me. Remember your role. The righteous victim who stepped in to stop a fight but got punched by the delinquent. Don't forget your setting. Normally, Ishigami would complain, what a convoluted setup. But he clearly wasn't in the mood today. Renji, you should reveal the evidence. Huh? If you don't clear things up, people will keep thinking you're just a violent lunatic who overreacted. Ishigami clenched his teeth. This is all my fault. If I hadn't lost control. You want another punch? If it's punishment for my stupidity, I'll accept. Pow. Before he finished, Renji punched him in the stomach. Ugh. It hurt, but not too badly. Just enough to make him bend over. As Ishigami doubled over, Renji leaned in and whispered, listen, I promise to handle this, and I will. You won't get hurt. Kyoko Otomo won't get hurt. But Renji. I punched you not for your recklessness, but for not trusting me. Renji smiled gently and patted his back. I'm your bro. Remember? Yeah. Good. Renji straightened up and walked past Ishigami, waving as he left. Ishigami watched him go, fists unconsciously clenched. I do trust you. Kyoko's safe. Ojino got what he deserved. But your reputation. He lowered his head, bangs covering his clouded eyes. Because you treat me as a brother. I can't let them keep destroying your name. Renji, I'll clear your name. Even if I have to sacrifice Kyoko's smile to do it. Hey, Ishigami. Renji suddenly turned around again. Don't do anything unnecessary, or we're back to square one. Chapter 39, I don't even know why you're still alive, Ojino groaned as he slowly opened his eyes, his eyelids heavy. It was pitch black all around, except for a faint light from above. Looking up, he saw two men in sunglasses and masks standing over him, shoveling dirt onto him. Miles per hour. He tried to scream, but his mouth was gagged with cloth. His arms and legs were tightly bound, and a sharp pain shot through his right leg when he moved. Only then did the terror set in. He was in a dirt pit, and those two men were clearly trying to bury him alive. Oh, you're awake. Suddenly, Takemin Renji appeared in his field of view, standing above the pit, smiling down. Ojino remembered now. He had been watching when Ishigami attacked. He hadn't done anything. But then, for some reason, Renji knocked him out. Miles per hour. Crack. While the other men continued shoveling dirt, Renji casually popped open a can of beer. Ojino, I've always thought someone like you only survived this long because society is too tolerant. But I'm not so forgiving. You threatened my brother in front of me, pretended to be innocent after, and tried to shift the blame. Thank God I knocked you out in time. Otherwise, this mess would have been harder to clean up. Don't bother screaming. We rented this whole area. Even if I removed your gag, no one's coming to save you. Watching Ojino squirm like a worm in the dirt, Renji calmly sipped his beer. Your sudden disappearance will definitely alarm your parents. They might call the police or hire someone to look for you. That'd be annoying. So I made a call to make them disappear too. Can't risk extra variables. Seeing the fear in Ojino's eyes, Takemin Renji gave a slight smile. Oh, don't get me wrong. I didn't do anything to them. I just felt Africa has great development potential, so I pulled a few strings and had them transfer there. It's just. You don't seem to be as lucky. Takemin Renji smiled and waved at the person shoveling dirt nearby. The man, who had been burying Ojino under dirt, nodded and stopped his work. He pulled a pistol from his pocket and handed it to Takemin Renji. Takemin took the gun and immediately aimed it at Ojino, a chilling smile spreading across his face. Bang. 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 3 shots fired, all hitting his body. But there was no spray of blood. Just overwhelming pain. Just kidding. They're blanks. You won't die. Ojinoko didn't die, but he was so scared that tears and snot streamed down his face. And his pants were soaked. You pissed yourself already? Kids these days really are pathetic. Takemin jumped down into the pit and yanked the cloth out of Ojino's mouth. Takemin. Please let me go. Now able to speak, Ojino broke down in snot and tears, begging for mercy. I swear I won't go near Kyoko Otomo again. Believe me. I'll go back and confess everything. Please don't kill me. Oh, come on. Don't say that. I'm not some devil, you know. Takemin smiled, though to Ojino, the expression was utterly terrifying. If you'd just said this earlier, none of this would have happened. Had to be difficult, huh? Was it worth it? Please. I'm sorry. I'll apologize to Ishigami too. I'll cut all ties with Kyoko Otomo. I beg you. Don't kill me. Ojino was genuinely terrified. Good boy. Nice, sincere apology. Takuman gave a small smile, grabbed Ojino by the collar, and with a tug, hurled him out of the pit. Only once outside the pit did Ojino see the surroundings clearly. They were in a massive open space, surrounded entirely by integrated buildings. This is the organization's research department. Ordinary people can't enter. You're lucky. Takuman said beside him. If we didn't still have some use for you, you'd already be on a lab table getting experimented on. And once your body started rotting from the inside out, you'd be buried right there in that hole you were just lying in. Takuman's words sent chills down Ojino's spine. What do you want me to do? Well, I'm not sure either. Takuman chuckled. Aunt Kaya didn't say what use you'd be after being rescued. Maybe I should just toss you on the operating table. Make use of every part. No. Did you hear about what happened in the first year? Yeah, apparently there was a fight. An outsider student beat up a fellow classmate from the drama club and sent him to the hospital. I think his name was Takuman Rinji. He used to be a member of the disciplinary committee. Always causing trouble for couples on campus. So scary. Are outsiders really that arrogant? It had been a day since the incident, and Takuman Rinji's name had spread through the entire high school. Even the second years were discussing it. A few girls were chatting in the hallway after class. I don't think it's that simple. Huh? They turned around and saw the familiar blonde girl with manicured nails. Hayasaka. Hayasaka? You know what happened in the first year? Not in detail. She said with playful cheer, but you've heard of Takuman Rinji, right? Every time he cracks down on a couple, it turns out one of them has a history of cheating. Oh, I've heard that too. Yeah, someone in the next class even went to the disciplinary office to request an investigation. Come to think of it. It was probably the guy who cheated, and Takuman caught him. Then things escalated into a fight. Hayasaka smiled. I'm not saying I approve of his methods. I see. Well, if the guy cheated, getting beaten up doesn't seem so unfair. But violence still isn't the right answer. Today was Takuman's first day on suspension. Negative rumors about him continued to spread, but someone was clearly working to steer the conversation in a different direction. Chapter 40, Let's skip class smack. Hey. Shirigane, I want an explanation. Momo. Calm down a bit. It was early morning in the student council office. Momo Ryuja barged in and slammed the table in front of Miyuki Shirigane. Takuman hadn't shown up on the rooftop the afternoon of the incident. Although puzzled, she had no way to contact him. Soon after, her club members told her he was suspended for fighting. Knowing about Ojino from Takuman, she spent the whole day digging into Ojino's background. The next day, she marched into the student council with the evidence in hand. How am I supposed to calm down? Takuman may be part of your council, but he's also a member of the astronomy club. You didn't even try to resolve this? I've been investigating, too. But haven't found much yet. Seriously, even after becoming president, your efficiency hasn't improved. She tossed a USB drive onto the desk. That Ojino guy has serious issues. He's hurt a lot of girls over the years. While she ranted, Shirigane plugged the USB into his laptop. He's been like this since middle school. I see. The problem now is that the violence is confirmed. Shirigane said, troubled. We'll have to use the student council's influence to minimize the fallout. Best case would be getting Ojino to confess in person. Ryuja frowned. But when my dad's people went to the hospital in Minato Ward yesterday, he wasn't there. Could he have escaped? Momo. Have you considered another possibility? What? That Takuman already figured everything out and deliberately kept it quiet. Shirigane analyzed. And Ojino is probably already under his control. That's definitely possible. He's capable of that. She pouted. I told him I'd handle it, but no, he had to get his hands dirty. Anyway, I'll use the council to suppress the public side of this. You use your network to control the student rumors. You don't need to tell me that. Hearing her reply, Shirigane nodded and took out the phone Takuman had given him. Well, I'll check in with him directly. Wait. What? You have his number? Yeah, we exchanged contacts for work. Shirigane said, confused. You don't? I forgot to ask. In all of Japan, only Sagrakaya and Shirigane Miyuki had Takuman's contact info. He had only shared it with the two of them. BC. Just then, Shirigane's phone buzzed. Seeing Takuman's name on the screen, he immediately answered. Hello? Takuman, where are you right now? Oh, we were just talking about this. I see. You already have a plan? Alright. No problem. His lips curled into a smile. So, you already have a plan. Go ahead. The student council will take care of the rest. The call ended. What did he say? Takuman seems to have his own solution. Shire again smiled. We just need to handle our part. That Takuman guy is too much. He's not even a proper student. It's such a shame about Ojino. He's such a great guy. Kyoko, you must be worried about him. Yeah, I asked at the hospital yesterday. The doctor said he was transferred to a larger hospital. He hasn't replied to my texts either. He must be seriously hurt. Kyoko Otomo sat worriedly, chatting with her classmates. It's all that psycho Takuman's fault. Why does the school let people like that in? As everyone badmouthed Takuman, Ishigami sat at his desk clenching his fists, nails digging into his palms. He wanted to shout that Ojino was the real scumbag, that Takuman didn't even throw the first punch. That he did. But before leaving school, Takuman had warned him not to do anything unnecessary, so he forced himself to endure. But his patience was wearing thin. Ishigami must feel terrible, too. Shut up. Yeah, he tried to stop the fight and got punched for no reason. Shut up. They were always hanging out together. I can't believe Takuman turned on his friend like that. Total psycho. Shut the hell up already. Ishigami's eyes turned bloodshot from holding it in. Ishigami, there you are. Huh? Lifting his hollow eyes, he saw Kyoko Otomo standing in front of him. Thanks for yesterday, Ishigami. No. Takuman was way too rough. I don't know why the school only suspended him for a week. He's dangerous. Please don't hang around him when he comes back. Bang. Ishigami suddenly slammed the desk and stood up, startling all the students around him. Ishigami-san? Startled by the loud noise, Kyoko Otomo instinctively took a step back and looked in confusion at Ishigami, whose eyes were now sharp and cold. This wasn't at all the Ishigami she remembered. You. Do you think you're able to sit here, smiling like an idiot and chatting with your classmates, all because of your own ability? Huh? Hey, Ishigami, what's gotten into you? Out of my way. Seeing the surrounding classmates start to gather around in confusion, he shouted, stopping them in their tracks. Ishigami glanced at the confused faces around him, then silently grabbed his school bag and walked out of the classroom without looking back. He didn't want to stay in this class any longer. Chapter 41, Do you have a problem with your own father? On the first day the incident occurred, all the classmates criticized Takuman Rinji. On the second day, the criticisms continued. But on the third day, the direction of public opinion began to shift. It went from Takuman Rinji injuring classmate Ojino with violence to rumors about Ojino's own unfaithful behavior. Rumors spread that Ojino had been dating girls since middle school, switching to new ones every so often. Even while dating Kyoko Otomo in high school, he had maintained relationships with at least 3 other girls. Yes. Only the cheating part was exposed. The disgusting crimes Ojino committed were not made public. Because Takuman Rinji knew. If those things were revealed, Kyoko Otomo, even as a victim, could end up socially ruined, but if it was just about cheating, the damage to her would be minimal. At first, no one believed it. But considering how Takuman Rinji had always produced proof of cheating before taking action, people gradually found it credible. And no. Why would Ko do something like this? Kyoko Otomo was devastated. The boy she'd been dating all this time turned out to be that kind of person. Well, it kind of makes sense. A nearby girl said, "I's a bit evasive. You know how Takuman is a jerk, but you also know his methods. He always finds proof of cheating first. Then why won't he show it to me? I don't know about that. Public opinion takes time to change." This was only the third day. On the fourth day, for unknown reasons, photos of Ojino dating girls from other schools began circulating among the students. Some were even recent. How did they know it was recent? Because Ojino was still using crutches in the pictures. He was clearly still injured from Takuman Rinji's beating. With that, the evidence became undeniable. On the 5th day, Ojino came to school on crutches. The moment he entered the classroom, he felt the cold, suspicious stares from his classmates. Kyoko Otomo stood before him, teary-eyed, staring directly at Ojino. Ko. Are those things true? Ojino looked around. The eyes of his classmates were cold and distrustful. Everyone was waiting to see how he'd respond. Ojino knew the game was already lost. The photos of him dating girls while on crutches had been taken under Takuman Rinji's coercion. He still remembered what Rinji said with a twisted smile, "This is your only chance to survive. Do exactly what I say, or no one can save you." It's true. What? I've been tired of you for a while. I just hadn't had a chance to break up yet. Ojino replied. And what about Takuman Rinji? Oh, him? Ojino sneered. He came at me with a memory card, trying to make me stop. I broke it, threatened him a little, and the kid couldn't take it. Beat the crap out of me and got himself suspended. Serves him right. Slap. A loud smack echoed in the classroom. Kyoko Otomo shouted through her tears, "Scumbag. Don't ever show your face to me again." Good. I don't want to see you either. Watching Kyoko run off in tears and feeling the disgusted gazes of the others, Ojino, once admired, felt a bit uncomfortable. But also relieved that he had survived. And from that day, the tides of public opinion reversed completely. Truth doesn't really matter. What matters is someone making people believe something is the truth. Takeman Rinji was in his room, rapidly pressing buttons on a game controller, eyes fixed on the TV. Controlling public opinion is all about controlling the narrative. A primary schooler's truth weighs less than a professor's lie. I suppressed the spread of negative rumors in school, reshaped Ojino's image through the student council and the news club. And it all worked. I told you I'd handle it. Kyoko Otomo might be sad for a while, but she won't be hurt. And you'll be fine too. Rinji turned his head to look at Ishigami, who was playing alongside him. So why skip class? I couldn't stand hearing them badmouth you. They weren't even wrong. I'm actually worse than they think. Rinji chuckled. Also, how did you even find my place? I never told you my address. On the third day, Rinji had answered the door to find Ishigami outside. After that, they played games together every day until school ended. Mrs. Sagra told me you lived in this building. It didn't take long to find your nameplate. What did the nameplate say? Just Rinji. It clearly said though. Anyway, skipping school like this okay? You might fail the midterms next month. I'd fail them even if I studied. Well said. I hate studying too. Let's fail together then. Ishigami laughed. At school, every day was torture. But at Takeman Renji's place, he finally felt at peace. Doesn't your family care that you're skipping? They're planning for my brother to inherit the company. I'm basically left to my own devices. What does your family do? Toys. Oh. Like Bandai? Kamen Rider and all that? I love that stuff. My dad too. No, small company. Not Bandai. Ishigami clarified. Speaking of toys, I bought a few when I first came to Japan. Takeman Renji got up and opened a cabinet full of his collection. He showed them off proudly. Look, this sword is Frostmourne from Warcraft. Forged replica. And that plastic axe? That's the legendary Shingu axe. Ishigami. Do you have something against your own father? Chapter 42, Secret meeting somewhere in the Western Pacific, on an island surrounded by dozens of aircraft carriers and missile cruisers, stood its headquarters. A training base for their operations personnel. At the island's center was a massive round building. Inside one dim room, a meeting was underway. At the head of the table sat a scar-faced middle-aged man. Around the table sat a dozen stern-looking figures. The room was filled with an oppressive atmosphere. Why are we holding a meeting now? The global situation hasn't changed enough for the elders to get involved. Sagra, are you playing dumb? As the current head of the organization, you're awfully slow to react. Still can't believe the boss picked you as his successor. The man at the head was Sagra Sosuke, current leader of EU, managing operations and decisions. The so-called elders were 15 founding members from his early days, each with influence over major decisions. Sagra felt helpless. Ever since becoming leader, he had constantly faced their harsh criticism. So what's the issue this time? Isn't it obvious? An elderly Western man spoke. The boss's son got bullied in Japan. Anything to say, Sagra? That's it. Bang. The man slammed the table. What do you mean that's it? This is serious. Is it really that serious? Extremely. The boss has only one son. He was bullied and expelled from that damn school. If I were tied up, I'd go deal with it myself. Calm down. A white-haired elder with piercing eyes spoke. Everyone immediately quieted. Even Sagra felt tense. This was George Shechik, his former leader and one of the current elders. Look, Sagra. He wasn't a nation or a race. It's because of the boss's charisma that elites from all over the world joined. When he made you, a rookie, his successor, we supported it. I'm truly grateful. Sagra said. But you've been far too timid in handling Takeman Rinji. George narrowed his eyes. 4 years ago, a mere Japanese Zaibatsu tried to shoot him. You backed off just to protect his business in Japan? Let me clarify. Takeman made the first move. We weren't in the right. And the Shinomiya Zaibatsu holds Japan's economic lifeline. If we escalated, we'd lose all operations in Japan. I understand. That's why we gave them a light punishment via our Southeast Asia branch. George said. But it wasn't enough. They needed more than just financial damage. Another elder spoke up. We originally planned to cut off all Shinomiya shipping and even use force if needed. But you stopped us. Right. Japan has 4 big zaibutsus. Without Shinomiya, there are 3 left. Even if no one takes over, we can install a puppet. Why did you stop us? What were you thinking? Do you not care about his interests? Do you even want the job anymore? Seigra Sosuke. Aside from facing the harsh criticism from the Elder Council, he also had to endure baseless accusations. I always thought this guy was unreliable. Look at the mess he's made now. Don't forget, this organization was forged by us and the boss through blood and sweat, not peace and diplomacy. Seigra, are you an idiot? Seriously, I have no idea why little Renji ever liked someone like you. Seigra Sosuke. On top of the accusations, there were personal attacks. Alright, enough bickering. We're here today to discuss the matter of Takemin Renji's school suspension. George Shepchik pulled out a file and said, according to my investigation, he was suspended for getting into a fight at school. The person he fought with is a guy named Ojino, who has a messy personal life and has even used underhanded tactics to threaten female students. Listening to George's report, Seigra felt a little speechless. He was an organization that operated across multiple global sectors. An immense power whose every action had deep global ramifications. Many so-called major international problems were nothing in their eyes. And now, a group of elders, along with him, the CEO, the highest decision-makers in the organization, were all sitting around to discuss a high school fight in Japan? Truly. Nothing better to do. One more thing. One of them said, Ojino's parents had originally planned to sue Takemin Renji, so we had them transferred to Africa preemptively. If they still plan to cause trouble, we'll take care of them quietly. To be honest, I don't feel comfortable leaving the boss's son in Japan alone. Then here's what we'll do. George set down the file in his hands and looked up at the others. Since I'm retired and in the Elder Council now, and aside from dealing with a few world leaders, I don't have much else to do. To ensure the young master's safety, I'll head to Japan myself. If the fools there don't suffer a little, the world might think he has gone quiet. Chapter 43, Send him to be an idol at Shuchin Academy. The incident involving Ko Ojino had officially been settled. Public opinion was also under Takemin Renji's control. Technically, once his suspension ended, he could return to a normal school life. However, he had no intention of letting Ko Ojino off so easily. Renji had never been lenient toward anyone who caused him trouble. Standing at his front door, Renji slipped on a trench coat from the rack. Ishigami, I'm heading out to deal with something. Play as much as you like, just remember to save the game. Don't lose the equipment we worked so hard to get. Relax, I've got experience. These days, Ishigami came over almost daily to play games. They'd game from morning till noon, go out for lunch, then continue until school would normally end, after which Ishigami would return home. Today was Friday, so Ishigami had probably already told his family he'd be staying over with a classmate. Renji checked the time. It was around 4 p.m. still early for dinner. Where do you want to eat tonight? How about you grab some instant noodles? Instant noodles are boring. I'll buy some groceries and cook. You can cook? I know a little. Alright then. Let's split the cost for the ingredients. Whatever. Renji smiled, fastened his coat, and walked out the door. He hailed a cab on the street and headed to a remote part of Shinjuku, Tokyo. After getting out of the cab, he glanced around. Unlike the bustling area where he lived, this place felt old and run down, with some abandoned factories and warehouses. Normal people wouldn't come here. He pulled a business card from his pocket and headed toward a multi-story office building listed on the card. Before long, he saw several rough-looking men smoking on the stairs. Two of them tossed their cigarettes, blocked his path, and sneered, "Hey kid, what are you doing here? This isn't a place for someone like you." Renji calmly looked at them and replied, "Mr. Bando sent me." "Bando? You're with the Washimin Group?" Note, Washim Group is from the anime Black Lagoon. The two goons were clearly startled. "I'm here to talk business with a new Gain demon Kamanjiro. May I go in?" "Oh, of course." They quickly stepped aside. "The boss is inside. I'll take you to him." "Much appreciated." Led by one of the thugs, Renji arrived at an office with a wooden plaque that read a new Gain Group. The goon knocked, got a response, and opened the door. Inside was a relatively luxurious space. On a plush sofa sat an elderly man with a pencil-thin mustache, leisurely smoking a pipe. "Boss, someone from the Washimin Group is here." "Oh?" The old man looked up and saw the goon and Renji. "Well, if it isn't Mr. Renji. Been 4 years, hasn't it? Please, come in. It has been a while, Mr. Inugane. You've even changed offices, I see." After the goon closed the door behind him, Renji stepped in, sat directly across from the Anugain Group boss, and lit a cigarette. I heard you've completely given up on turf wars and switched to the idol business. How's that going? Great. Idols are very profitable. Anugain chuckled. Why, interested in investing? Maybe I'll chip in symbolically, depending on your development. Renji smirked. By the way, boss. Hey now, don't call me boss anymore. I prefer Professor Anugain. I've taken a liking to composing lately. Nice hobby. But let's get to business, Professor Anugain. I heard you've got connections to Thai gender reassignment surgeons? That's right, I know a good one. He grinned, taking another puff. Thanks to that surgeon in Thailand, some of the girls in my group have made me a lot of money as idols. Note, so for those who don't know, Anugain is a Yakuza group from the anime Backstreet Girls. So they basically turned their own Yakuza members into girls through surgery as a punishment for major failures and send them to become idols. I see. I want to recommend someone. Can you take him in? Oh? Who? A young man named Ko Ojino. He's at the perfect age to debut as an idol. Renji smiled. Since you're in the idol industry, you need trainees, right? That's true. How's this Ojino kid's qualifications? Pretty good. He's in the drama club at school. Loves tricking clueless girls and caused me a little trouble. And he's still alive? Someone like him should have been dumped into Tokyo Bay. Renji exhaled a smoke ring, a cruel grin on his face. But I promised not to kill him, and I keep my word. Since he likes messing with women, let's turn him into one. Put him in a group with other women. As a drama club member, he could even debut in the idol world. Isn't that wonderful? Oh. Mr. Renji, you're too kind. Ha ha, aren't I? We're not demons, after all. Well said. I'm no demon either, ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. The chilling laughter of the two echoed through the office building. Alright, I'll handle it. Thanks for the referral. What's your commission? Talking money hurts friendships. Consider it free. Ha ha ha, you're straightforward. Thus, the fate of Ko Ojino was sealed with just a handshake. Chapter 44, George. Just minutes after Takam and Renji headed to the Anugain Group, a private jet landed at Tokyo's Narita International Airport. A dignified older man stepped off the plane, followed by several bodyguard-like individuals. Outside the airport, several middle-aged men in suits greeted him respectfully. Mr. Shepchik, the car is ready. George Shepchik stepped into a stretched Rolls-Royce. Once the door closed, the car began weaving through Tokyo's streets. Inside the spacious vehicle, George looked out at the bustling city and murmured, "The last time I was in Tokyo was in the late 20th century. It wasn't this lively back then. Time really does fly." Indeed it does. His secretary beside him agreed. Mr. Shepchik, many people already know about your arrival. Here are the invitations we received. The secretary brought out a tablet and read aloud, "The Minister of Defense would like to host a defense summit and invites Mr. Shepchik." Decline. Oh. The foreign minister is holding a forum. Decline. The prime minister is hosting a banquet. Decline that too. George replied blandly. The only reason I'm here in Japan is to see the young master. All those other trivial matters are meaningless. Cancel every invitation and event. Understood. The secretary nodded and turned off the tablet. George leaned back against the car seat, his thoughts drifting back to 20 years ago. A time of turmoil. Back then, he didn't have his current status. He was just a washed-up veteran discarded by the times, so down on his luck that even those crooked American cops stared to strut their stuff in front of him. He ended up in a holding cell over a minor incident, and at the time, he thought that was how his life would end. But at that moment, a black-haired Eastern boy appeared at the detention center, eliminated all the guards with ease, and was there simply to rescue a girl temporarily detained. He was just a kid, yet George could see something in his eyes. Power and madness that didn't belong to this world. George took a wild gamble. After escaping with the boy, the kid told him he had a big plan and invited him to join. George accepted. And became the kid's first subordinate. That big plan later became E.U., the organization that now shapes global affairs. Time really flies. It sure does. When the boss suddenly announced he was retiring to farm back home, everyone was shocked. But nobody objected. After all, it's understandable for someone at the peak to want a quiet life. George suddenly chuckled. Come to think of it, I held his son, Renji, when he was just a baby. Such a cute kid. But now. His fist suddenly clenched tightly with an audible creak of straining bones, veins bulging on the back of his hand. And now some mere Japanese conglomerate dares to lay a hand on the young master? Do they really think he rose to power by hosting tea parties? We earned our place through war and bloodshed. Those pig-headed fools. Mr. Shechik, those people don't even know that Takuman Renji is the boss's son. In fact, only a handful. Like his founding elders, President Sosuke, the branch directors, and a few people in the combat units. Know the truth. It's top secret. Still, they laid hands on the young master. Mr. Shechik, calm down. Renji himself said not to take action against the Shinomiya family. He probably has a plan of his own. Sigh. George exhaled and unclenched his fist. I told the boss we should have had Renji live with me in the US, but he insisted on sending him to Japan. That's because he was worried you'd spoil him too much. The car drove for over an hour and finally stopped in front of an apartment building. We're here. This is it? George got out of the car and stared at the building, confused. This is where Takuman Renji lives. Which room? Second building, 10th floor, 5th room down. Just one room? Is the young master really living that frugally in Japan? This is a luxury apartment. The secretary replied coolly. Sir, you may have misunderstood the word frugal. Also, the president's wife lives here too, so it's not that surprising. Whatever. Let's go check. The two entered building 2, pressed the elevator button, and went up. On the 10th floor, they followed the hallway to the 5th door. The sign on the door read. George hesitated for a moment, then rang the doorbell. Ding dong. Click. The door opened. Not to the golden-haired boy George expected, but to someone with black hair. May I ask who you are? It was Ishigami. He thought Renji had just stepped out without his key, so he opened the door. But instead saw a tall, elderly Westerner exuding an intimidating pressure that made him feel extremely uneasy. Whoa. Who is this old man? So scary. Seeing that it wasn't Renji who opened the door, George looked at the secretary. After receiving a confirming nod, he asked in slightly clumsy Japanese, Is Takuman Renji home? You're looking for Renji? He said he went out to run an errand. He's not home right now. Ishigami said nervously. And you are? I'm his grandfather. Yes, grandfather. George nodded, satisfied with his answer. Oh, I see, his grandfather. Ishigami remembered that Renji was mixed race, so having a Western grandpa wasn't strange. Well then, please come in. I think Renji should be back soon. Great, great. Are you one of Renji's friends? Yes. Wonderful. Tell me all about what Renji's been doing at school. I've been worried about him. Once inside, George and Ishigami entered the living room. Not long after, Takuman Renji returned. Seeing George, he was stunned. Grandpa George? Little Renji, you're back? George's stern face instantly turned gentle with a warm smile. Chapter 45, These people are going to spoil the kid rotten. Grandpa George, what are you doing here? Seeing the familiar, kind smile of George sitting in his room, Renji was a bit surprised. He had met this old man when he was very young. One of the first to work with his father. Back then, George often played with him, bought him gifts, and treated him like a grandson. Though not his biological grandfather, George had always taken care of him. Given his age, Renji called him Grandpa George. George stepped forward and ruffled Renji's golden hair. It's been so long, little Renji. You've grown so much. I came all this way just to see you. George smiled. Are you settling in okay here in Japan? Yeah, I've gotten used to it. Ishigami sat nearby, listening but clearly not understanding a word. That was because George and Renji had naturally switched to English. Being academically challenged, Ishigami's listening skills were nowhere near good enough to follow along. If they were, he wouldn't be failing English. Wanting to give the two time to talk, Ishigami put down his controller and headed to the living room. You two keep talking. I'll sit outside for a bit. Oh, no problem. We'll wrap up soon. Renji said. After Ishigami left and closed the door, only George and Renji were left in the room. Renji, I heard the Shinomiya family gave you some trouble here in Japan? I caused the trouble, actually. I was 12 and didn't know any better. I acted on impulse. Renji said with a bitter smile. I lashed out when I was angry, and cooled off right after. I left a mess behind. I just wasn't mature enough back then. So are you no longer angry now? No. I probably will act again when the time comes. But I won't use these resources to do it. Why not? That organization was founded by your father. As his son, you have every right to use it. You know how he operates. It's not a hereditary organization. It's merit-based. President Sorio earned his position through capability. I don't have what it takes to manage it right now, so I won't try to use its resources. But if you ever wanted to become his president, everyone in the Elders Council would back you. I believe the leadership across all branches would support your command. George said. Many of them viewed Renji as the rightful heir to a. We'll see in the future. Alright. Just say the word if you ever want the seat. Seeing Renji's lack of interest, George didn't press further. By the way, Renji, I heard you went to the Middle East battlefield. Because of a heartbreak. That's what Soryo told me. Pretty much. I confessed and got rejected. I've already moved on. Someone rejected you? George was shocked, then fell into thought. I know. Renji, I recently bought an uninhabited island near Panama under the guise of an environmental project. I'll give it to you. We'll throw a party at the villa, invite some debutantes and celebrities. You can take your pick. No, that's way too much. Renji turned him down without hesitation. Come on, don't be so polite with your grandpa George. I'm not being polite. Renji knew that if he'd gone to the US instead of Japan, George really might have spoiled him beyond belief. I also heard from Soryo that besides fighting in the Middle East, you also shipped goods in international waters for a while? Yeah, just making a little money. That's odd. Didn't the boss give you any spending money when he sent you here? He did. 100 million USD over 5 years. I lost a lot in bad investments, made some of it back through war and shipping. I've got about 23 million left. 100 million over 5 years. George frowned. Is the boss getting stingy? I don't know. But as pocket money, it's more than enough. Humphrey. That won't do. Here, your grandpa George didn't bring much this time, but take this. George pulled out a wallet from his jacket, and from it, he drew a black card with a Roman centurion's profile on it. An American Express centurion card. Here, take it. No, you really don't have to. I don't need it. Take it. I never use it anyway. Just use it for whatever you need. George forcibly shoved the black card into Renji's hand. Knowing it was pointless to resist, Renji reluctantly said thanks and slipped the card into his wallet. He really didn't need it. Because it was his fourth one. The first card was from another elder when he first arrived in Japan. The second was from the Southeast Asia branch chief when he left Japan. The third was from a woman in the operations department. Someone who apparently had a close relationship with his father. Basically, everyone was afraid he'd starve to death. Truthfully, Renji's daily expenses were minimal. Aside from occasionally buying premium ingredients to cook with, he usually got by with just a red bean bun. Oh, right. The organization still owns a few oil fields in international waters. I can authorize 2 of them under your name. No. Renji grabbed George by the shoulder. Seriously, Grandpa George. You didn't come to Japan just to give me money, right? Chapter 46. These people are going to spoil the kid rotten. Grandpa George, what are you doing here? Seeing the familiar, kind smile of George sitting in his room, Renji was a bit surprised. He had met this old man when he was very young. One of the first to work with his father. Back then, George often played with him, bought him gifts, and treated him like a grandson. Though not his biological grandfather, George had always taken care of him. Given his age, Renji called him Grandpa George. George stepped forward and ruffled Renji's golden hair. It's been so long, little Renji. You've grown so much. I came all this way just to see you. George smiled. Are you settling in okay here in Japan? Yeah, I've gotten used to it. Ishigami sat nearby, listening but clearly not understanding a word. That was because George and Renji had naturally switched to English. Being academically challenged, Ishigami's listening skills were nowhere near good enough to follow along. If they were, he wouldn't be failing English. Wanting to give the 2 time to talk, Ishigami put down his controller and headed to the living room. You 2 keep talking. I'll sit outside for a bit. Oh, no problem. We'll wrap up soon. Renji said. After Ishigami left and closed the door, only George and Renji were left in the room. Renji, I heard the Shinomiya family gave you some trouble here in Japan? I caused the trouble, actually. I was 12 and didn't know any better. I acted on impulse. Renji said with a bitter smile. I lashed out when I was angry, and cooled off right after. I left a mess behind. I just wasn't mature enough back then. So are you no longer angry now? No. I probably will act again when the time comes. But I won't use these resources to do it. Why not? That organization was founded by your father. As his son, you have every right to use it. You know how he operates. It's not a hereditary organization. It's merit-based. Uncle Sosuke earned his position through capability. I don't have what it takes to manage it right now, so I won't try to use its resources. But if you ever wanted to become his president, everyone in the Elders Council would back you. I believe the leadership across all branches would support your command. George said. Many of them viewed Renji as the rightful heir to a. We'll see in the future. Alright, alright. Just say the word if you ever want the seat. Seeing Renji's lack of interest, George didn't press further. By the way, Renji, I heard you went to the Middle East battlefield. Because of a heartbreak. That's what Sosuke told me. Pretty much. I confessed and got rejected. I've already moved on. Someone rejected you? George was shocked, then fell into thought. I know. Renji, I recently bought an uninhabited island near Panama under the guise of an environmental project. I'll give it to you. We'll throw a party at the villa, invite some debutantes and celebrities. You can take your pick. No, 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 that's way too much. Renji turned him down without hesitation. Come on, don't be so polite with your grandpa George. I'm not being polite. Renji knew that if he'd gone to the US instead of Japan, George really might have spoiled him beyond belief. I also heard from Sosuke that besides fighting in the Middle East, you also shipped goods in international waters for a while? Yeah, just making a little money. That's odd. Didn't the boss give you any spending money when he sent you here? He did. 100 million USD over 5 years. I lost a lot in bad investments, made some of it back through war and shipping. I've got about 23 million left. 100 million over 5 years. George frowned. Is the boss getting stingy? I don't know. But as pocket money, it's more than enough. Humphrey. That won't do. Here, your grandpa George didn't bring much this time, but take this. George pulled out a wallet from his jacket, and from it, he drew a black card with a Roman centurion's profile on it. An American Express centurion card. Here, take it. No, 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 you really don't have to. I don't need it. Take it. I never use it anyway. Just use it for whatever you need. George forcibly shoved the black card into Renji's hand. Knowing it was pointless to resist, Renji reluctantly said thanks and slipped the card into his wallet. He really didn't need it. Because it was his fourth one. The first card was from another elder when he first arrived in Japan. The second was from the Southeast Asia branch chief when he left Japan. The third was from a woman in the operations department. Someone who apparently had a close relationship with his father. Basically, everyone was afraid he'd starve to death. Truthfully, Renji's daily expenses were minimal. Aside from occasionally buying premium ingredients to cook with, he usually got by with just a red bean bun. Oh, right. The organization still owns a few oil fields in international waters. I can authorize 2 of them under your name. No. Renji grabbed George by the shoulder. Seriously, Grandpa George. You didn't come to Japan just to give me money, right? Of course not, I just came to check on you and give you some pocket money. George said with a smile. After all, the boss only has one son. You. I can't exactly let you starve, right? I won't starve to death anyway. That's that. I'll be staying in Japan for a while. Planning to visit a few old friends too. If anyone bullies you, just tell me. I'll step in right away. Sure, no problem. But really, no one's going to bully me. Then I'll get going. George glanced at the time and said to Takam and Renji, I still have time. There's a dinner appointment in Japan. Apparently, some politicians and business moguls got together and invited me. I see. I thought I might have bought too many groceries today, so I was planning to cook a meal for you. But if you've got a dinner appointment, then I'll just cancel that boring dinner. George immediately put on a warm, fatherly smile. No business dinner could ever be more important than a meal with Takam and Renji. Chapter 47, Let's flung together. The members of the EU Elder Council were the ones who built the organization alongside its founder. By now, they had all stepped into retirement. Though they still had the authority to make major decisions, most of them lived lives like regular retired seniors. They lived mainly in Europe and America. Normally they just played golf, hung out, or attended international conferences. It was a leisurely life. Back in the early days of the organization, when the global situation was unstable, they were all extremely busy. Even now, some of them were still single. George went to see the young master. Just went on his own? If he can go, why can't we? I had 2 sons back in the day. I'm clearly better at taking care of kids than that lonely old man. You already have grandkids? Can't you just focus on them? They've got their own lives. I can't really interfere. In a massive golf course, a few elderly men were swinging clubs and chatting casually. Where do you think the boss disappeared to during those years? Wasn't he said to be running a farm? Who knows where that farm even is? One of the old men said as he launched the golf ball into the distance. Only that brat Sagra knows the boss's whereabouts, but he always says things like even if I told you, you couldn't get there. Ha. When we were out fighting wars, that kid wasn't even born yet. If the boss wants a quiet life, we shouldn't disturb him. a rather gruff-looking elder said. But still, he really trusts us to send his son here. Benson, you know how capable the young master is. The boss wouldn't have sent him to a Middle Eastern war zone if he didn't believe in him. Another white-haired elder took a swing and leaned on his club, chuckling. Honestly, if George is looking after the young master, his peaceful days are probably over. Ha ha ha, true. Not jealous at all. Buzz. A synchronized buzz came from all their pockets. They took out their phones. It was a message from their internal chat group. This group was mostly used for three things: bragging,